Hello, 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 hello. Let's put our hands together and welcome our friends online, on Facebook, on YouTube. Woo! Yes. Good morning, all. Good morning, and welcome to day 3, History Makers Training, June 2018. My name is Baboshia, and we're about to start our first section with Pastor Bose Adelaja. So let's put our hands together and welcome Pastor Bose.
I'll wait for now. Then later, during the break, Again, good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to see you. I'm looking forward to having an exciting session with you. But before then, let me hear how you've been doing, what you've been learning, your impression about the HMT. So I just need you to talk to me, and if you can be very concise, precise, straight to the point. Are you happy thus far? Who is willing to share something with me? Who is eager to ask a question? You? Okay. You are Akechi. What's a good name of good way of short?
Say Ike.
Ike. Okay.
Akechi.
I guess that's Yoruba Igbo name. Igbo. Oh, I wanted to say Nigerian Igbo name, but you've been Europeanized. Ike. Yeah, Ike. Ikechukwu. Yeah. Are you Ikechukwu?
Yeah.
Was that what you were trying to say?
No, Akechi is my
Okay, Ikechukwu. All right.
To be honest, it's day 3. I've only been here for 2 days as well. It's been pretty well there. I've learned quite a lot in regards to like the art of creativity, in regards to intellectual intelligence, intellectual curiosity, just understanding about questioning, basically questioning my own principles, my own understanding of things, trying to make.
So what do you plan to do with that? Will you first apply it in your life, right?
I'm just understanding, just basically getting to grips with them, because it's more to do with understanding where you've gone, where you've been, and why you've gone wrong to where you are now. You see what I'm saying? So just trying to learn from my own mistakes. You see what I'm saying? All your own principles and mindset.
All right, let me just talk to the Russian speakers. Для наши русские говорящие, украинскоговорящие, пока я просто спрашиваю, что они взяли, вы все понимаете, да? Больше я, да. Okay, I will take 2 more. Who is a nice, willing soul? It doesn't look like retreat. You want me to ask all of you to stand up? Okay, let's have Rosa.
Thank you. Do I have to talk my name? Do I have to tell my name?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always nice to say it because different people are looking at you. Okay. That's also a kind of understanding, intelligence, because you are not limited to this room. You are not limited to those who are watching you, and the video will live forever. And it could be a reference point. Yeah.
My name is Rosa. I'm coming from Belgium to attend this HMT 2018. And for the 2-3 days that I've been here, it has been a sort of eye-opening for me because so many things have changed the way I used to look at things.
What has changed? One thing.
Yeah. For example, I have learned that what we learn from what DSS teach us about what Lord Lugard wrote 200 years ago is still the same thing that we're experiencing in Africa. And I'm like, 200 years ago, no change. So we have to do something to change our own continent from being the dark continent to develop our continent. And it's not like a tag of somebody. I've also learned that being here is, you have to look at it as it's a burden on my shoulder to do something. Because everybody, from what we learn, have something to offer to the society.
So we have to do something means I have to do something.
I have to do something, yeah.
In my world, I may not be able to change the whole world, but I should be able to change myself
You start with yourself.
and my immediate environment.
Yeah,
Good
so,
point.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. That you need to examine yourself, change your environment, change your society. Yeah.
Good point. And the last for now. You are Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, yeah. My name is Emmanuel. I'm from the UK. This is my first time in Ukraine, and
Welcome to Ukraine.
it's been a wonderful. Well, I still have more days left anyway.
Just halfway.
Yeah, but it's amazing. I really thank God for the opportunity to be here, to be part of this training. It's mind blowing, and my perspective towards life I wouldn't say has changed, but it's taking me to a next level. It's taking me to a next level.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll rather phrase it that way, because I've always been an open-minded individual, and someone that has been.
But what is one thing that you think is changing or has changed? Or
What was upgraded is my perception towards towards what we're dealing with, the act of questioning, which connects with the exercising of using your mind. Because what I've been able to realize is, the more I'm able to use my mind, the more I'll be able to discover more about myself and my assignment. Because these are two links.
they are connected.
Yeah, they are connected. So, and this is part of the reason why I'm here, to discover more of myself and connecting myself with my divine assignment. So I'm not just here for myself, but to develop myself, to go out there and change, and make light in my own world.
Thank you.
Or create my own world.
Thank you very much. That's
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Okay, so I will continue the main topic of the retreat, which is the art of questioning, and I will be focusing majorly on the benefits of questioning. So the main theme is the art of questioning, but I will be focusing more on the benefits of questioning. And of course, we'll go through some introduction. I understand that somebody reads, right? You are the reader this time. Okay, I have the mic here. Okay.
The act of questioning. The greatest gift is not being afraid to question. Robbie D., the wonderful act of questioning.
Okay, so pass the mic to Sister Chirma. How do you understand that quote?
Okay, the greatest gift is not being afraid to question. Yeah, for me, from where I'm coming from, Nigeria, I'm coming from a system where people are not encouraged to question, and I will say that me personally, I didn't grow up in an environment that encouraged people to ask questions.
Let's go like this.
Okay.
Do you agree with Ruby D?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I do because from what I have learned in the past 2 days now, when we ask questions, it opens our minds to innovation, to being able to solve problems, and to changing things that we had thought prior to that time was okay. So Ruby D is saying that it is the greatest gift, and I agree with that, because if everything is left to be in the form that they are, we wouldn't have a better world.
Okay, let's get more contribution. I want an answer that focuses on why is it, if you agree with him, of course, so why do you think he wrote that it is the greatest gift? I mean, you have gift, you have greater, but he said the greatest, that means the ultimate, that means the gift of all gifts. So it's a gift inside which you have other gifts. So let's have another contributor. Why do you think it is the greatest gift? Any volunteer? I'm trying to remember your name.
My name is Vitalis.
Vitalis.
Yes.
Vitalis.
I agree with what Ruby D is saying. Even it's an adage in our African culture.
There is an adage.
Yes,
Okay.
Especially the Igbo land. It says that a child that asks questions never get lost. So, in the sense that when we ask questions, we find answers. We find
But
direction.
then why is the greatest gift?
Yes, because now when you have answer to life's issues, then you don't lack anything. Everything is open for you. Possibilities, whatever it is that you want in life, you find it.
Thank you. You wanted to contribute?
Simply put, when you ask questions, you discover. It pushes you to research, and a person that asks questions is an achiever.
Yeah, so it opens the great opportunities to many other
you want to do
gifts.
exploits.
Yeah.
You know, when I was growing up, I was like adventurous because I love to ask questions.
So it's like the first door to great opportunities.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can always relate to my personal experience from childhood.
All
I
right.
love to ask questions, and I was getting everybody around me agitated, angry. They say you even ask stupid questions, you know. Even my husband here will say, you keep asking me. I said, that's my nature. You're not going to change it.
Is he your husband?
Yes, I said, you're not going to
good
change
to know.
it. Like while I was in secondary school, a teacher asked me, as small as I was, to walk out of the class because of his personal hatred. But I wanted him to explain the reason why I should walk out, because my parents paid for the school fees. And the whole class was shocked that why should I challenge the teacher.
Okay, let's keep to the greatest gift.
Yeah.
So is it there to many discovery? And you wanted to add something? Yes, Rosa. Thank you. Thank you.
For me, I look at it as the greatest gift because by asking question, it widens your knowledge and give you wisdom. And if you have wisdom in any decision you take,
Then you have everything. Yeah.
Because we make wrong decision because we lack the wisdom as concerned to how to pick the right thing. Yeah, that's why I look at it to be the greatest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Emmanuel?
Yeah, you've made a lot of sense there, because that just reminds me of what the scripture says about wisdom is the principal thing in life, and wise people ask questions. It's only dummies that they receive everything. You know what I mean? But if as a wise person, it's creating you this intellectual curiosity, because you want to know things, and that's wisdom, and wisdom is the principal thing in life.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just
Chris?
want to add, I just want to add something that I guess maybe we didn't mention. The fact that we are all created by God, and the gift was actually given to us by God, not from man. But that gift will enable us to discover Him, because it is only through asking questions that we can come to know our Creator, and how we are related to our Creator, and what we are made of personally by our Creator.
Okay, let's take the second part of it. So why, the next question from this quote is, why do you think he wrote that not being afraid to question?
So why did they put the verb, not afraid, not being afraid to ask question? Why do you think he added that? Because he could have written it like as the greatest gift is to ask question. Yeah, is to be able to ask question. So if we zoom in at not being afraid, what will we get? We have a contributor at the back, IK.
I think it goes to the concept of like questioning everything in regards to your life. As you said, everyone here is talking about wisdom. So if it may go across maybe arguing about something that may be going on in your life right now, but might be wrong, but you might be afraid to actually go out and question it and say, why is this happening? But you fear in the sense that you might get rejected, or you might fear in the sense that someone might tackle your own views, that you're not going to be able to stand on your own 2 feet about it and stuff like that. So it's more to do with it's more to do with trying to basically understand that you are questioning, not because you are trying to in any way, shape or form trying to discourage the other individual. You're trying to increase your own sense of wealth or knowledge.
So from that, I would take not being afraid, because sometimes you can get rejected, misunderstood,
or
okay.
maybe in the sense of let me see, maybe you might not be happy with maybe it's the fear of their own answer that you may receive or something like that. It could come down to like basically the understanding of you not knowing what the answer might be.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I believe the man noticed that maybe from his experience in life, I don't know how wide he went around the world, but from the part of place where we're coming from, there's this inherent fear in everybody, how we are being patterned not to ask questions. Some things they say is too much for you to ask as a child, as when you are growing up, or even in a society where you are. They say that some things you don't even dare to ask, and you have not asked them, why shouldn't I ask this question? So we've been wrongly patterned not to ask questions, to accept everything the way we met it, and we keep living that way. That's exactly what
thank you.
Well, he meant.
Yeah, it eradicates intimidation, and once intimidation has been eradicated, you become bold.
So that means sometimes people that ask questions can get intimidated, right?
No, if you're asking questions,
Yeah.
it shows that you're not being intimidated
Okay.
by whoever. Because when people, so in most cases, people don't ask questions because they're being intimidated.
Because they are afraid.
For whatever reason, right? And that takes me back to the story of when God said to Joshua, "Be courageous." So you can see people that ask questions, they show sign of being courageous, of courage, and that means you can ask anybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
So that means to ask question, you have to overcome a certain kind of resistance.
Yeah.
Okay. Either inherent or outward, either inward or outward. There is a kind of resistance, just like public speaking, right?
Yeah.
There is this fear, right?
Yeah.
All right, leave ones would like to say something.
Yeah, not being afraid to ask questions. I can also see it as placing yourself in a vulnerable position, as a checking system, just to make sure if you're going into the right direction. So yeah, many people think they have the right knowledge, but by asking questions and not being afraid of it, it's just a checking system for yourself. Like, where am I going? Is this the right knowledge I have? So yeah.
Thank you. Pastor Christina?
Способность не бояться задавать вопросы. Я здесь увидела, что, во-первых, это как бы навык определенный, способность.
Ask a question is a skill.
Вот определенный навык, на который ты должен наступить на какой-то страх.
And to gain a skill, you have to apply a certain kind of effort. Learning a skill requires effort, time, input.
Вопросы есть у каждого человека. Нет человека, который бы был бы без вопросов.
Everybody asks questions. There is no man without questions. But the question is,
И для того, чтобы получить ответы на эти вопросы, нужно задавать вопросы.
but to get answers to our questions, we must ask questions.
Многие люди, они находятся, скажем так, находятся, ну, не получают ответы в своей жизни не потому, что их нету, а потому, что они не задают вопросы, потому что есть страх.
Many people don't have answers in their lives, not because there are no answers to their questions, but just because they are not asking the questions.
Поэтому нужно работать над тем, чтобы побеждать себя. Задавать вопросы – это побеждать себя, это наступать на комплексы, это наступать на свои внутренние страхи и побеждать себя и задавать вопросы для того, чтобы приходили ответы в твою жизнь.
So asking question is overcoming yourself, is overcoming your inner fear, is overcoming your intimidations in order for you to get your answers.
Человек, который способен задавать вопросы, это свободный человек. Это человек, который способен жить в свободе.
A person that asks question is a free man and is able to live in that freedom. Thank you.
Hi.
You can see she's a disciple of Pastor Sunday, right?
I've also observed that, like Ruby D said, that the greatest gift is not being afraid to question. I'm of the opinion that every change begins with questioning. And people are not comfortable with change. You see, when you begin to question, then you are initiating change. And people love the status quo. They are afraid of change. So it takes a lot of guts to take people out of their comfort zone.
That's true.
So that explains the word afraid. Because you need a lot of guts to change people. Take them out of their comfort zone to put them in a better place.
Thank you. I think we can move on, yeah? We've had enough contributions on this. Thank you so much. Okay. So, this is a question for you. Well, what is the root word of questioning? Can you read that, please?
What is the root word of questioning? The word questioning is a form of the word question. Definition of question. Question. Question.
You don't need to read that.
Definition of questioning. The noun.
So the root word of questioning is question, right? All right.
Noun. It's a sentence worded or expressed so as to elicit information. A sentence in an interrogative form addressed to someone in the order to get information in reply. A matter requiring resolution or discussion. A problem for discussion or under discussion. A matter for investigation. A matter of some uncertainty or difficulty. Problem usually followed by of. It was simply a question of time. What is question? Continued. A subject of dispute or controversy. A proposal to be debated or voted on, as in a meeting or a deliberative assembly. A procedure of putting a proposal to vote. Law, a controversy that is submitted to a judicial tribunal or administrative agency for decision. The interrogation by which information is secured. The act of asking or inquiring, interrogation, query. inquiry into or discussion of some problem or doubtful matter, to ask or inquire. The verb is ask someone questions, especially in an official context. To ask someone a question, ask question of or interrogate. To make a challenge of, doubt. To challenge or dispute.
We're not going to discuss those definitions. They are just dictionary definitions. But when you study the definition of a word, you get a more elaborative understanding of what a question is.
Questioned versus questioning. Synonyms of question: inquiry, query, interrogation, examination, informal quiz, quizzing, interrogate, ask questions of, put questions to, cross-examine, cross-question, quiz, probe, canvass, catches, interview, debrief, sound out, examine, give the third degree to, informal, grill, pump. Definition of questioning. Adjective of questioning: indicating or implying a question, characterized by or indicating intellectual curiosity, inquiry. An alert and questioning mind, an inquiry or interrogation. Introduction. The act of asking questions is a crucial mastery of every effective communicator. Simply put, to communicate better and to ensure understanding, whether you are speaking or listening, you have to master the act of asking questions. This means that you have to know when and how to ask the right questions.
Okay, can you read this again and let's deliberate on it for some time? Read it again, please.
Introduction. The act of asking question is a crucial mastery of every effective communicator. Simply put, to communicate better and to ensure understanding, whether you are speaking or listening, you have to master the act of asking questions. This means that you have to know when and how to ask the right questions.
Okay, here, let's deliberate, let's work on whether you are speaking or listening. You have to master the art of asking question. So what would the art of asking question gives a speaker or a listener? The mic, please.
I think it ensures that communication is taking place, that some set of information is being passed on
Across.
both to the listener and also to the speaker at the same time.
Good point. Any other?
I would just add that from what he said, that I tend to see it this way, that every word a person says potentially has two meanings. The meaning that the speaker intended and the meaning that the hearer assumes. So sometimes it is better to ask questions to actually clarify if you understand what the speaker said, and if you actually understand to the degree that the speaker is actually expecting you to align your thoughts with their thoughts.
Okay. I think also ask a question for the speaker will also allow him to know what the people need. By asking people question, he will be able to gauge. He will be able to determine where the listeners are, where the audience is, and he may be able to change, his way of delivery. So asking questions is not just for the listeners, it's also vital and important for the speaker as well.
For example, by asking the right questions while you are speaking, You can see if the others are listening and if they understand what you're saying. By asking while you are listening, you will ensure that you understood well, and you will show the speaker that you pay attention to what they are saying. Without further expatiating or putting it simply, questions are an integral part of any conversation that must not be neglected. 70 to 80% of kids' dialogues with others are comprised of questions, but 15 to 25% of adult interaction consists of questions. Children learn rapidly because they ask questions, they listen, they act on what they just learned. It is worth noting that a child's brain development is the fastest a human brain ever develops, and it forms a human's most foundational traits.
Okay, let's also get a contribution on this, especially the part of the children asking question and the connection it has. Okay, let me hear from you first. Any contributor on this?
Okay, I'm seeing from this that it appears that children are developing faster than adults, because from these statistics, it says that 70 to 80% of kids' dialogues with others are comprised of questions. So it means that the most important time that we are even developing is as children. And as we grow, the tendency, because we're not asking questions, we are no longer developing. This is my understanding of that.
Okay, can I have another person also connecting it? I mean, I understand what Sister Chioma said, but maybe somebody can articulate it better, connecting it to the brain development. Connecting it to the brain development even when you are no longer a kid. Can we get a contribution on that?
We know that children have an inquiry mind, and most of the learning processes, especially during the stages of cognitive development, which is actually the school-going age, their mind is open to absorb more information, and it's this information that builds them up in life with what they are going to know, with the area that they are going to channel their purpose in life to. So most of these questions at such age, actually, some people believe that learning stops at certain age, especially, but we know from years of studies that it doesn't actually stop, only that a lot of people stop putting effort. But once people are in those school-going age, their mind is open to question and to learn more than when the adults who now, because of stages of inertia in their life, they stop asking questions, and that's why they stop learning. But if they keep asking questions, you find that the possibilities are there that everyone learns every day.
Can you connect that to brain development, even when you are already an adult?
Yeah, when you are an adult and you keep asking questions, you find that your brain keeps developing. It doesn't stop because of the vast possibilities of human capacity to learn. Because every day in life, we learn.
Thank you. So we decide if our brain keeps developing or not. So we are the one either to kill our brain or to resurrect it, right? By keeping on being curious, by asking questions, by revising the things we are used to. So we decide the state of our brain.
Proper questioning is a lost art. Whether a problem is solved, how it is solved, how long it remains solved depends on the questions you ask. and on the questions you don't ask as you solve it.
Okay, how do you understand that? First, do you agree that proper questioning is a lost art? If you agree, or if you don't agree, you can bring your accurate.
Okay, should I read it again? Okay, whether a problem is solved.
Sorry, is that what you don't understand, or the proper? Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's not. It's a forgotten heart. It's not a common heart. Is it clear now? It's not a popular.
Yeah.
Is it clear now? Yeah. Yeah. Now you got it, right?
Yeah. Should I read? Okay.
Yeah.
Proper questioning is a lost act. Whether a problem is solved, how it is solved, how long it remains solved, depends on the questions you ask and on the questions you don't ask as you solve it. Yeah.
Okay, we have a contributor.
I quite agree, because some of the questions we already had in our minds, we didn't ask, might be damaging for life, because you didn't ask proper question because of the way you received it. The person that communicated it to you, probably while you were small, didn't put it well, and it might damage you. Like when I was in my junior class, a teacher came and she said, if you're a woman, you must have a cat before you give birth. That damaged me for life. Till at this old age, that was when my husband can psychologically talked me out of it. I didn't want to give birth to the children because of what I heard in my junior class. But I didn't have the boldness to ask my mother, because of the way we are patterned. It's not everything you ask. So it's always good to even allow children to open up, because you don't know what they are hearing outside. So it can be damaging for life.
Okay. You want to add to it?
Yeah, I think I agree, especially within the context of Africa that we're discussing. Dr. Sunday was saying, that the type of questions you ask will depend on the information that you have inside of you. And I'll put an example like this. If somebody who is exposed to scientific information is trying to solve a problem or a scientific problem, the kind of questions he will be asking to resolve that problem will be different from somebody who is not exposed to scientific information, but maybe banking or something else information. And that would determine how well and how quick he's able to get a solution to that question, to that problem. And the fact that you said the proper questioning is a lost art. Even in Africa, we are not even talking of proper questioning now. We are even talking of just questioning.
Yeah.
Questioning is a lost art. But in a more advanced or developed society, yeah, you discover that there's a tendency for you to think that you already know all that there is to know in a particular area, and that will stunt the growth or your ability to interrogate more deeper, because you just assume that you already know. But for people who are still open-minded and who are still thinking that there is still more to know, there's a level of depth of questioning they keep asking to bring out more, I don't know how to put it now, to bring out more discovery or more ideas on how that particular issue can be solved.
Okay, let's deliberate on how long it remains solved.
Okay.
You know, how long, whether a problem is solved, how it is solved, then how long it remains solved. What do you get from that? What comes to your mind from that? Okay.
How long it remains solved actually means how quickly you deal with it.
I don't. How long it remained solved? So it's been solved.
Yeah.
but how long it remains solved? What are the things happening in your brain? What comes to you when you hear something like how long it remains solved?
Yeah. If I should use our own example, someone said something to her in that secondary school. She kept it. She didn't do anything about it. She didn't ask any questions until her adulthood, when her husband talked her out of it. Does that answer you?
Not exactly, but I appreciate your trying. We have hands up at the back. Mayowa is willing? Okay. Okay. But while she's coming, let's give it to IK to save time.
I think when it comes to how long it's resolved, I think it depends on the person's like solace and solitude that they have from the questionings that they answer and the answers that they receive. If the questioning and the answering fits and sits with them properly, and they're able to digest it properly, then the question can last longer than how it is. But if the question is still, if the answers are still not there, and if the person is still trying to question and maybe they're not open-minded about it, or they've not seen it in another light or a perspective, or they've not experienced it, then they will continue to keep falling down into the trap of why is this, why is that, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. You see what I'm saying? So it's just more about the solitude that you have, and the solace that you have with the question, and how ready you are to accept it and take it forward, so that it can help you.
Okay.
I think the question of how long it remains solved is really, really, really important for me, because it says that the responsibility is on everybody that knows that the question is solved. So once the question is solved, it only remains solved if we continue to propagate that. So if we as individuals continue to propagate the art of questioning, keep asking questions and allowing other people to ask questions, then it will remain a solved issue that we ask.
So that means, like, what comes to my brain when I see something like how long it remains solved? The first thing that comes to mind is like a question or a problem is not solved forever. You know, we are still on this earth. There is no permanent site on this earth. So any question you are solving now, that doesn't mean it is solved once and for all. It can reoccur again. You know, that's what I get from that. It can reoccur again. So your lifestyle, your attitude to solving questions, and when it reoccurs, you know, the fortitude to tackle it again also depends on, you know, the questions you ask or the questions you don't ask. You might have to ask yourself, if a question comes up again, if a problem comes up, okay, why is it reoccurring? Is there something I'm doing, or is that just because we are living in a broken world and I have to be ready to tackle it each time it appears? That's what you underline. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add something. I was looking at
the mic, please.
Sorry. I was looking at it from the perspective of when you solve a problem, how long that problem remains solved will determine on the quality of the solution that you've applied. Because I understand that there's something we call workaround. So basically, something goes wrong, you interrogate it, you know you don't have a solution, but you know there's a temporary solution that you can put in place and will make it work until you find a permanent solution. So you just apply that temporary solution that will carry you for maybe days or weeks or months, but at the back of your mind, you know that this thing will reoccur. So you have to go back, you have to keep, while the thing is working, it appears to everybody that it's been solved, but you keep asking, you keep probing to get a lasting solution for that problem.
Yeah, thank you. Tokpa, right? Okay, Emmanuel is very aggressive. Let him have it. Yeah. Talk, speak.
No, that's fine.
Then later, okay. Tokpa.
I already said it. I was just going to say that it's about propagation, and she already said it. Because see what Pastor Sunday is doing now.
Tell me, what's he doing?
Talking about paganism in the African church and preaching against all sort of evil doctrines in the Nigerian church. You see, it's creating awareness and raising a lot of disciples across the globe. People will soon be on fire for God. Already, a lot of people are on fire, you see. And since he's been able to do this, people will keep asking questions. So a problem can be solved, as in I'm answering the question of time now, the time factor. You can tell how long a problem will remain solved based on the number of people you are able to get to ask questions. So the more people you get to ask the questions, the more time you can get it solved. Because you are not the sole person involved. You've involved a lot of people that can do as much as you're doing. So it can be replicated and this problem will keep being solved. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just to add to what our brother just said, I think it's also relative to the individual, the society, and the world at large. Because there has been some questions over the years we believe they have been answered, which along the line comes up as an open-ended question that is still begging for answers. And this, if we remember, when we say proper questioning is a lost art, it comes back to the issue of the Renaissance, whereby a lot of the development we have today was actually answered during those years. But fortunately for us, in our own generation, more questions are begging for answers. That is even disproving most of what we have from those eras.
That's true.
So this is why it's important to keep asking questions until the answer is found. And like the Bible also said, we only know in part. Along the way, probably at the end of it all, we will know in full.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like what Chris said about the quality solution, but I would go back to what Mike Murdoch said about learning, because he said something about, he said I learn every day. So I would say, I would base it on quality learning and information. So the more you're learning, and not just learning, but quality learning and information, but not just mere information, but quality information, and that keeps you. So it's like what you just said. The problem is not solved, but even though it's solved or not solved, but because you are learning, you're engaging yourself in quality learning, and because you're engaging yourself in quality learning, you're at the same time receiving quality information. So that keeps you, that keeps you ready. Like you I don't know how can I'm trying to
because you understand that a problem can reoccur.
Yeah.
So you have the fortitude to re-tackle it. Yeah.
And because
so you don't fall into depression when it comes up again.
So you're prepared. You get yourself based on your
yes.
quality learning and information.
Yeah.
She wants to. When I focus on how long a problem remains solved, I just look at us here in this room right now. We all come from different places to attend this HMT, and we all have different questions in mind, we expect some answers for different questions. And now, if I'm looking at how long that problem remains solved, I look at, now we are having lessons here. If we step out of this room and we forget about those lessons, then that problem has not been solved. But if we step out of this room, out of this country, and we implement what we have learned here, then it determines how long that problem is solved. So for me personally, I think how long a problem is solved depends on how you imply it practically in life. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We are not done yet. I want us to work on the part. And on the questions, starting from depends on the questions you ask and on the questions you don't ask as you solve them. How do you marry the two, the questions you ask and the question you don't ask? You know, it's like you ask question. It's like when you are asking question, it's like you cannot be not asking questions. So how do you marry those two? What's happening in your brain? What do you get from that? Is my question clear?
Yeah. I think you will get a solution to the question you ask, because when you ask questions, you get an answer. I think that helps you with the question you ask. The one you don't ask, you remain, you don't know if you don't ask. So the one you don't ask, you still remain dark about it. But the one you ask, he enlightens you, he opens you up to more understanding because you ask. And if you are not satisfied, like you're asking us questions now, you're not satisfied with my first answer, you pass it on to somebody, to another person, until you get satisfied. Until you get what you're looking for. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Because now I'm satisfied. Okay. You want to add to that? Yes. How can we be asking questions and at the same time not asking questions? That's what I want us to focus on. Yeah.
Well, when we ask questions, we get information, and from that information we have knowledge. And with that knowledge that we have, with the questions we don't ask, we already know like the answers to those questions that we don't ask, so we don't ask them anymore. Well, I think, I don't know. That's right.
I think actually,
of course, ask questions. Ask that question, you are supposed to.
Please, sorry.
Okay. So when we ask the questions, some questions, we get answers and information to those questions. And from that information, we get knowledge of what the question is that we ask from whatever it's been, I don't know, talked about. And with that knowledge that we have, we also have some questions inside of us, but from that knowledge we have gotten, from the questions that we have asked, this question we haven't asked, now we already have a way of answering ourselves on the inside, and we probably don't need to ask that question again because we have knowledge and understanding on how to answer it for ourselves. No.
I will take us back to the title that says proper questioning is a lost art. And to me, that portion, you said you want us to focus on how can we be asking questions and at the same time not asking questions. We can be asking questions, but we can be asking amiss, like asking not the questions that will take us to solving that problem. So that is how it comes across to me, that we need to be able to ask the right questions to determine how long, to be able to resolve the problem in good time.
It's along the line. Good job.
Yeah, I think almost the same thing, because I know there are two sides to everything, given the polarity of life. For light there's darkness and all that. So I see it this way, that for every question you ask is a question you are not asking, because like she said, you might be asking a question, a particular, I don't know how to put it, but it's just in my head. You might be asking a particular question, but the fact that you are asking that question, there's a polar opposite of that question that you might not be asking.
That's true.
I don't know if I'm making sense. So, how do I put it nice in my head? I can't bring it out. So basically, you are asking a particular question. For example, okay, let me put it this way. You have a piece of paper in your hand, and the paper has a color. Now, if you ask a question that, is this paper red? You have not asked the question if this paper is blue.
Let's do it like this.
Or
Connect my question to proper. Connect, let the word proper,
okay.
let it help you
Okay.
to asking questions and at the same time not asking. On the ones you ask and the ones you don't ask.
Okay.
So if we connect it to proper, what do we get?
I think when you're asking the right question, that is focused on that topic of concern at that particular moment in time.
Okay, a good point. Paul, you would like to add something?
So we just discussed that when how long a problem remains solved, for example, depends on the quality of the information you get, depending on the quality of the questions you ask and how much effort you're going to put into looking for information about them. And I think that that applies to all the other things too, whether the problem is solved and how it is solved and how long it remains solved. Because if you ask some questions, you'll get some information. But if you don't ask some other questions that you would need to have asked to, for example, solve it completely, or to solve it the right way, or to keep it solved. Like if you have a gadget, for example, and it's not charging, and you ask a question like, what should I do when my gadget's not charging? And they say, use a different charger, and you just stop at that. Well, maybe the problem is not with the chargers, it was something in the gadget, but because you didn't ask different questions, you couldn't keep the problem solved, or you couldn't solve it at all. So just depending on the questions you don't ask, you could have a half-hearted solution, or maybe just even half of a solution. But then if you ask all the questions, for example, even when you think about infrastructure and buildings and stuff, here in Ukraine, because there's lots of corruption, sometimes you can pay money and get land and build what you want. But if you don't ask enough questions about how, like, do I have enough resources to build on the land? Is it safe to build on the land? Will it cause any hazard for anyone or anything? Then people build stuff that doesn't get finished because they didn't ask enough questions about that, or people build stuff that kills animals or stuff because they didn't ask enough questions about that. And just if you don't ask enough questions from different angles, then you won't get a proper fine solution. I mean, quality solution. You'll get a walk around.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Pearl. Pearl
Should I say it in
nailed
Russian?
it, actually. Yeah, you go on. Yeah, so probably some of you will remember when you talk to either customer service on the phone, and after dropping the phone, you remember, I didn't ask this. Yeah, so it's a holistic approach, asking all possible questions. So that's what that is pointing us to. And so also proper questioning is asking questions until you are satisfied, asking all the questions until you are satisfied, until you get what you want. So asking some questions doesn't mean you are asking all the questions. So let's work and improve and grow. It's something we all have to work on to make sure you are asking all the questions you can ask at that time. More questions will come later, of course. Yes, Ike, you would like to contribute? Ike wants to.
Just a question for me personally then. What if you don't have any more questions? What if you're to an extent you've received what you classified as enough, but you as a person are trying to understand it, maybe trying to work with it, maybe trying to find a certain type of balance with it. Maybe if, say, for example, you've been given say just in general, you just don't have any more questions anymore to answer. You're satisfied, but you're just trying to comprehend it yourself. You see what I'm saying? No, that's my question. If that makes sense. If you have, but long story short, what if you have no more questions to ask?
Of course, in some cases there will be no more questions to ask if you are working with a customer service, and but in life, every day is a new question. Every day you meet new challenges, and of course you have questions. Yeah. Thank you. All right, let's watch a video that I think is in sync, in line with what we are talking about, asking all the questions until you are satisfied. So,
Is it okay by you that I can quickly use the toilet?
of course.
Make sure, do we wait for him? I think he won't like to miss it, right? So, we should wait for him, okay?
Yeah, so it's a really eye-opener. So if you want to make sure you are asking as much as possible questions to get many answers that you can work with later, then it means it will help you if you determine your questions. Like before you make a call, for example, write down all the questions. Before you meet a person, write down all the questions. Before you do this, and in your personal life also, write out all the questions. That way you will get more elaborative answers. You have more materials to work with. Because it is very possible for us to be asking questions and not to be asking all the questions. I don't know, can we, it's better we show the clip, right? Yeah, it's better we show it, yeah? Or I can go on with what I'm doing. We can show it now. Okay, let's show it. Make sure we have the sounds, everything.
Come up yet.
Can you give Emmanuel?
Yeah, what I got from that video was that little girl, she was just being curious about everything, and I could see from what we learned yesterday that spirit of intellectual curiosity. You know, that's the beginning of it. Why? She wants to know. She's being curious. And
is it on?
it's off, actually. Sorry. Yeah, it's on now.
So you start again.
So I have to restate myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the problem of restating, you know what I mean? Yeah. The little girl was curious, and it's a very it shows her intellectual side, or it shows being intellectual if you're curious about things because you want to know things. So what I learned from that video in a nutshell is that intellectual curiosity of knowing, because if you're not curious about knowing things, then there's no need of asking questions, innit? Because if I'm not curious about something or about a subject, then I don't need to ask questions. But because I'm curious on a certain subject, I will ask questions because I want to know. I need information. So, yeah. I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so what I got out of this video was this girl only asked one question, which was why, but she got all new answers to it. So it started superficially and a little bit funny, but as we go on, it went deeper and we got to the root cause of what happened. So, you know, and it got more serious. So yeah, I think that the why is very important, because start superficially, but then you really get to the root cause of the real problem.
I've learned that every explanation gives birth to another question, which leads to more information and then more
So
knowledge.
now, Ike, when you said, what about if you don't have any question? The last thing you dealt with will give birth to more questions for you too.
Every explanation just gives birth to another question and to a
Yes.
deeper information.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We have some willing people at the back.
I think there is a desire to know more once we start asking questions, which is actually what the little girl was trying to express throughout the video. Because from the very first question, there is a new set of information and begging for new questions to be asked. And this is actually what she was doing. And now her perspective enlarges. Because now we'll find out that also in life, when we ask, our perspectives changes. We have new, broader areas that we need more sets of information for. And then we can actually ask indefinite questions about the issues and circumstances of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just add one point there. So, the little girl kept asking, and any of the questions that the man didn't answer was going to stop the flow of her being able to expand more. And anyone he didn't answer is going to lead to assumption. She must start assuming why the man did what he did, and that assumption might be 100% wrong. It might be 100% right. That's why most of us, we live in assumptions most times when we don't open up to ask questions.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know. I was just seeing the nature of God. That He's an infinite God.
Infinite.
And He has created us because there's a scripture that says He has put eternity in us. So the way I see it is that as long as you keep asking questions, there is no end to the answer or to the solution you will get as long as you ask. I think it now brought me back to the scripture where Jesus Christ said, "Ask and you shall receive." And we've made that scripture too religious, thinking that it's just prayer, but it's just basic curiosity. Just ask questions. Whenever you ask, as long as you keep asking, you keep receiving, and there is no end to it. It just keeps going on and on.
Yeah, and the clip really exemplified it, because it just started with, okay, the sun is not up yet, so why is it not up? Then, science, the rotation of the earth. Then it got to a point when he said, I don't know. And the girl didn't give up, because as adults, if somebody tells us, I don't know, we think that's a full stop. Yeah. And even in our lives, when we get to the point of I don't know, that is not the point to give up. Why? Why is it that I don't know? Or why is it that you don't know? And then the dad now says, okay, I didn't study well in school. Just by, the sun is not up yet, the girl was able to know more about his dad. His student's life, his job, And so sometimes when we start to ask questions, like Brother Chris said, we get to a world that we never anticipated. We get to know a lot, and it's infinite what we can know. So we should just keep asking the questions. That is why it's important to have solitude. That is why it's important to revisit our habits, so that we will keep learning and we'll keep having wisdom. Okay, are we stopped? Okay. Yes.
The one who asks questions doesn't lose his way.
Somebody mentioned African proverb today. Yeah, so that's the proverb.
Yeah. Starter starter questions that trigger the act of asking questions. Who, what, which, where, when, how, why not. Persistently asking why will reveal the underlying issues. Excuse me. Ask these starter questions from a different perspective. Customer, sellers, giver, receiver, advocate, opponent, different culture, gender, races, background, ages, environment, past, present, future generation, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally. Asking question is an act. It is not necessarily an inherent skill.
Let's get one or two contribution on this. Who is willing? Generally.
Just a quick, for me, just a. Okay, let me just read it all over again. Okay. Starter questions that trigger the act of asking questions. Who, what, which, where, when, how, why not. Persistently asking why will reveal the underlying issues. Ask these starter questions from a different perspectives. Customer, sellers, giver, receiver, advocate, opponent, different culture, gender, races, background, ages, environment, past, present, future generation, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally. Asking question is an act. It is not necessarily an inherent skill. Let me just say a quick one. Just a quick one before I give because for me, like our sister said, I've always thought that some people are just like born naturally that way and they just grow up asking questions. Why some people are like kind of more reserved and they don't ask questions. So sometimes we tend to think that this thing is inherent in you. Because you see some children, we know all kids like to ask questions, but after a while, at the same age, you see some still persistently asking questions, while others will just like fizzle out. And it might be from the same home, from the same parents. So you tend to think that, oh, okay, this thing is, maybe it's just inherent. But it could be the fact that the way people respond to the both of them, how the parents respond to them. Maybe they are responding to one more favorably and encouraging the one to ask more questions, and the other one they tend to, or how they get reply from their peers or from people outside. So it's, for me, it's like asking questions is an act and it's not inherent. I was like
Okay. This slide is trying to help us to appreciate that asking question is an art, you know, and that it's triggered by these starter questions. If we approach a problem by asking the who, the what, which, where, when, and how, and that even when we get these answers, or we are trying to get them, we should still not stop at why. We should continue to question the why, as it would get us to the possibly get us to the root cause of that issue. And in also solving problems, we should not be myopic about it. We should look at it from different perspectives, as given by some of the suggestions here, like looking at it, customer, the seller. You know, we should look at it from all possible perspectives, as this would give us more clue or help us in resolving that issue. So this my comment.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Any other contribution? Okay, we have Vitali.
Yeah.
Vitalis.
I think the whole exercise has to do with relativity and relevance. And from what we know now, there are factors that affect our ability to ask questions and the kind of questions that we ask. Be it the environment, be it what I would call the inherent aspect of it, of us, that helps us to ask those questions, because some people are born inquisitive. They ask about each and everything. Some people are encouraged by their family background to be asked, to be able to ask questions. Some others, even the environment, the friends they have, helps them to be able to know how to ask some questions in life, while some are disadvantaged by all these factors, such that they don't even ask anything. They accept everything that was given to them, hook, line, and sinker. And I believe there was a time someone asked me, supposing that everything you know in life, you wake up one day and find all of them to be false, what are you going to do? So these are the issues that affect most of us with our ability to ask questions and to be able to ask more questions of life issues.
Thank you. Thank you. And asking a question is an art. That means it can be done in different ways. And also it means it can be learned. You know, it's also a science. There are templates. There are the who, what, which. There are ways you can develop it in yourself, but it's an art because we can do it differently. So that is what I will add to that.
She wants to talk.
Okay, please. She needs it?
Yeah, I think asking a question is an art because it's the information is being received and it enlightens oneself. And anything that enlightens a person is a form of art.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So we can move on, right?
The phonics checklist. The Phoenix, right? Yeah, thanks. The Phoenix checklist, a problem definition checklist that provides a rounded, many-faceted, flexible approach. It's a tool developed by the CIA to define problems and plan solutions. The question in it are known as context-free questions and are designed to encourage agents to look at a challenge from many different angles. It is like holding your challenge in your hand. You can turn it, look at it from underneath, see it from one view, hold it up to another position, imagine solutions, and really be in control of it. Here is how you use it. 1. Write your challenge. Isolate the challenge you want to think about and commit yourself to an answer by a certain date.
It's important when we are working on something, it's very important that we take one thing we are working on and focus on one thing. That way the brain functions better, you know. If you're thinking about family, then focus on family. If you're thinking about career, focus on career. If you're thinking about ministry, focus on ministry. That way the brain functions better.
2. Ask questions. Use the checklist to dissect the challenge into a variety of areas. 3. Record your answers. To solve the problem. What benefits will you receive by solving the problem? What is the unknown? What is it you don't yet understand? What is the information you have? What isn't the problem? Is the information sufficient, or is it insufficient or redundant or contradictory? Should you draw a diagram of the problem, a figure? Where are the boundaries of the problem? Can you separate the various parts of the problem? The Phoenix Checklist Part 1, the problem. Can you write them down? What are the relations of the parts of the problem? What are the constants of the problem? Have you seen this problem before? Have you seen this problem in a slightly different form? Do you know a related problem? Try to think of a familiar problem having the same or similar unknown. Suppose you find a problem related to yours that has already been solved. Can you use it? Can you use its method? Can you restate your problem? How many different ways can you restate it? More general, more specific, can the rules be changed? What are the best, worst, and most probable causes you can imagine?
Cases.
Oh, sorry, cases. The Phoenix Checklist Part 2, the plan. Can you solve the whole problem, part of the problem? What would you like the resolution to be? Can you picture it? How much of the unknown can you determine? Can you derive something useful from the information you have? Have you used all the information? Have you taken into account all essential notions in the problem? Can you separate the steps in the problem-solving process? Can you determine the correctness of each step? What creative thinking techniques can you use to generate ideas? How many different techniques? Can you see the results? How many different kinds of results can you see? The Phoenix Checklist Part 1, the problem. How many different ways have you tried to solve the problem? What have others done? Can you intuit the solution? Can you check the results? What should be done? How should it be done? Where should it be done? When should it be done? Who should do it? What do you need to do at this time? Who will be responsible for what? Can you use this problem to solve some other problem? What is the unique set of qualities that makes this problem what it is and none other? What milestone can best mark your progress? How will you know when you are successful? All of these are what CIA asks itself before acting.
Okay.
This is deep.
Can we get this checklist? It's on the internet.
Wow.
Just write the
Phoenix checklist.
checklist. It's on the internet. Yeah. Okay. Any contribution? Reading through this, listening to this, what comes to your mind? Livio?
Well, when I think about this Phoenix checklist, I think that there need to be a full research on what you really want to know before you even act. So, yeah, it's not just asking questions to get some general information. It's just like you have a specific goal and you're reaching out to it. And well, before you even act, you sit down and you think of every possible way of how to get there, and before you start asking questions to make a whole flight plan. Yeah.
Okay. Any other contribution?
Yeah.
I
was
think
just going to say.
I can also sit in the front to help reading.
Okay.
Maybe Sister Choma can change seat. Is that?
I was going to say the CIA. We know the CIA is the Central Intelligence Agency. So I want to presume that. Sorry, that
sit down.
Okay. That the more questions you are able to ask, the more intelligence you develop. That was just what I was going to say. Because if for a particular problem they're asking so many questions, so I just presume that the more questions you ask, probably the more intelligence you develop.
That's true.
Yeah,
and it's also proven that the art of asking questions can be learned. It's also a science. You know, you just have to follow the templates. You just have to answer all these questions in regard to what you are dealing with, and already You will have a lot of answers. You will know what to do. You will feel more confident and more target focus. Yeah, so the more questions we ask, the more intelligence we have, the more answers we have.
Yes.
You like to?
I just want to say, I can see depth, the level of depth in just questioning alone. It just goes to show how shallow that we have been, especially from Africa, because when you say somebody is shallow-minded, they tend to get offended, tend to get annoyed, thinking that you're insulting them. But from what I'm seeing now, that even just questioning, look at the depth that people are going through to develop a skill on how to question things. It's, for me, it's mind-boggling that it's like a full research.
No more what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a full research just to get information by the simple act of questioning things. So it's really, really very deep, and I think it's something I have to go back and start looking at.
Yeah. You like to add,
Yeah.
Mr. Vitalis? Pass the mic, please.
I think the Finnish checklist is letting us know that there are depths to be looked at with each and every question or issues of life, and then there are different angles as well. Not only the depth, but we can tackle it from different angles and perspectives. I think that's what I'm able to learn from this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the Socratic method? The Socratic method is named after Greek philosopher Socrates, who taught students by asking question after question. Socrates sought to expose contradictions in the students' thoughts and ideas, to then guide them to solid, tenable conclusions. The method is still popular in legal classrooms today. The Socratic method also can be known as meutics. I don't know. Meutics, method of Elenctic method, or Socratic debate, is a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking, objective analysis, and to draw out ideas and underlying presumptions.
You have to increase your voice a little bit.
Okay. It is a dialectical method relating to the logical discussion of ideas and opinions, involving a discussion in which the defense of one point of view is questioned. One participant may lead another to contradict themselves in some way, thus weakening the defender's point. This method is named after the classical Greek philosopher Socrates and is introduced by him in Plato's Theaetetus as midwifery Mercurius, because it is employed to bring out definitions implicit in the interlocutor's beliefs or to help them further their understanding. The process of questioning your logic and propositions and correcting them into a sound judgment, your educated, objective opinion in this case. How does it work? The principle underlying the Socrates method is that students learn through the use of critical thinking, reasoning, and logic. This technique involves finding holes in their own theories and then patching them up. In law school specifically, a professor will ask a series of Socratic questions after having a student summarize a case, including relevant legal principles associated with the case. Professors often manipulate the fact of the legal principles associated with the case to demonstrate how the resolution of the case can change greatly if even one fact changes. The goal is for the student to solidify their knowledge of the case by thinking critically under pressure. The Socratic method is a method of hypothesis elimination, in that better hypotheses are found by steadily identifying and eliminating those that lead to contradictions. The Socratic method searches for general commonly held truths that shape beliefs and scrutinizes them to determine their consistency with our beliefs. The basic form is a series of questions formulated as tests of logic and fact intended to help a person or group discover their beliefs about some topics, exploring definitions or logi. Singular logos, meaning logical rhetoric, rhetoric, okay, thank you. And seeking to characterize general characteristics shared by various particular instances.
Okay, so, okay, we still have some more, okay.
How does it work? Okay, I think we read this. Right. How does it work? Okay. The Socratic method is a method of hypothesis elimination, in that better hypotheses are found by steadily identifying and eliminating those that lead to contradictions. The Socratic method searches for general, commonly held truths that shape beliefs and scrutinizes them to determine their consistency with other beliefs. The basic form is a series of questions formulated as tests of logic and fact intended to help a person or group discover their beliefs about some topic, exploring definitions or logi, singular logos, meaning logical rhetoric. I got it, right? Rhetoric, okay, and seeking to characterize general characteristics shared by various particular instances.
Okay. So, what do we get from the Socratic method? So, what's the method about? Who got it? Please take the mic here.
It's called the questioning method, developed by Socrates, one of the famous Greek philosopher of our age, our time. And it's the method he uses to teach the students that came to him for learning in those days. And over the years, I think in universities and educational institutions, they find that it's also a good way of developing critical thinking abilities in students and in most law schools.
Yeah, and thank you. It's about using questions to help people to see the fault or the incompleteness of their belief. You know, not just telling them they are wrong or they are right, but questioning them, debate. That will, you know, and that way, hypothesis will be eliminated, better hypothesis will be found. And also, that method shows that if a factor, that your belief or the end result will change if a factor changes. So, context is very important in our belief, where we are, what we are dealing with. So, critical thinking, understanding where you are, what is happening, and that method helps to make the best decisions when you are under pressure. You know, because like it's used more in law. You know, the courtrooms are always, sometimes they are very hot. Yeah. So by asking questions, then you come to know that if your belief is sound. And this also relates to what Bravitali said, that somebody asked him, like, what will happen? What would you do if you come to the realization that all you've believed all these years are faulty? You know, what will you do? I think for us, open-mindedness helps us to know that, yeah, we might have fault in some things, and when you realize your fault, you just make amendments, you just change. You know, if you realize that you are going the wrong way, you just turn around and go the right way. Because belief changes, and the way, if we study the word religion, you know,
Christianity also transpired. It started in a form, then it changes, and the latest form of Christianity we have, it's not the way it started. And the same with other religions, because people are always asking questions, because things are always changing. Only God changeth not. So that open-mindedness and asking questions to check, like the Bible says, if we're still in the faith, it's very important. But what this teaches us is that you must be open-minded, and you must be flexible. You must be flexible. Although you must have a sound foundation, like for us, is Christianity. It's Christ, but the method might be wrong or not the best one. Just eliminating a worse hypothesis for a better hypothesis, because we all know in parts. Nobody has it all. We are learning, and we just have to be true to our conscience. Can we have a break? Or you want us? I don't mind. Are you guys feeling? Do you need a break, or we can keep on going? We need a break. We or you? Yeah. So I just need to know. Let's vote for a break. If you want a break. What? We just started at 10. It's not up to 2 hours. It's not up to 2 hours, yeah. So if you need a break, raise your hand, please. Okay, so we keep going. All right. Who is reading? Where is the mic? Precious, do you want to try reading? Okay. Yeah.
From
yeah. Why not? You can help them.
The key to wisdom is this: constant and frequent questioning. For by doubting we are led to question, and by questioning we arrive at the truth.
This is just solidifying all what we've been talking about. Okay.
Rules of asking the right questions. Ask questions of substance, not just to get a check mark. Make your questions simple, not complicated. Ask clear, direct questions. Watch the timing of your questions. When or where should you be asking them? When shouldn't you be? There are no silly questions, ever. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question, and a fool can learn from a wise answer. Bruce Lee.
Read that again, please. Continue.
There are no silly questions.
No, a wise man.
A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer.
How do we understand that?
I think that means don't think your question is not valid, it's not relevant, because you don't know until you ask. And until they give you back an answer, then you know how relevant it is or it was.
Mm-hmm. That is talking about there are no silly questions. Yeah. What about the quote? Who wants to? IK?
It's alright.
The quote.
Yeah, the quote. I think with the I don't want to stand. I'm okay. A wise man, when they're saying about a wise man can learn a foolish question, it goes like a wise man knows he knows nothing.
Can you stand up? We can't capture you. The video can't capture.
Alright, no worries. It says a wise man knows he knows nothing. So even if a foolish person asks a question, it means that they're able to maybe understand the insight of why they may not understand a common question that is like a fool might not understand. But then with a fool is someone who lacks in knowledge. So if you get a wise answer, they might not be able to comprehend or understand it. So they themselves are trying to. So they like the knowledge themselves to even like get the interpretation and to understand where they're going from. Like how does this answer relevate or connect to me in any which shape or form?
Okay, now let's connect "there are no silly questions" to the quote. How will you join the two together? What will you get when you think about the two together? There are no silly questions, and then a wise man can learn more from a foolish question.
Okay, I would like to say that.
Can you see, Chairman?
We had earlier connected wisdom to that ability to ask questions and ask the right questions. So that wise man is someone who knows how to ask the right questions, and even though the question comes to a normal person as a foolish question, because he is someone who appreciates questions and sees questions as something that leads him to answers, he would still pick something from those questions. But one who is a fool, in this context, I want to say is maybe someone who has not come to the point of appreciating what the power in asking questions. He wouldn't even be able to get anything, even when he's giving an answer.
That's true. Thank you. All right. Okay. Ladies first.
Mine is not. It's actually a question, because before this point, there is no silly question came up. I wanted to ask why I wanted to ask if there is some kind of questions that are silly, because while growing up, I heard a lot of people saying to people, even to me, you ask silly question, you ask stupid question, you ask question like somebody that doesn't have sense. And now this one is contrary to what I heard. So I still need answers from us here if that statement also is true. If there are some silly questions, not just because this person said there are no silly questions, because I've heard people say there are silly questions. So are there silly questions?
Okay, let's work on that. Rosa? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, if truly questioning, the heart of questioning develops your intelligence, then a wise man, due to the fact that he's been asking questions, has been able to develop his intelligence. So even if it's a foolish question, it can make sense of a foolish question. But a fool has not been asking questions, and he has not developed his intelligence, so it cannot make sense of even a wise answer. That's what I was going to say.
All right, let's. I will say there is no foolish question, based on the fact that everybody is unique. From the book we read, Law of Difference, and because you are unique, you have something to offer, and there is something in you that somebody else doesn't know. For example, if we step outside there and we see a homeless person on the street, the first idea that will come to us is that he doesn't have anything to offer. But you that have never been in that situation, you can learn something from him being in that situation. So I think there is no foolish question, because there is no one person that have been in every situation, which means you can learn from anything. Yeah.
I think you just clarified it, because I used to say this growing up. It's something I coined by myself. I said, if you are locked up in a room with somebody that is considered a fool for 24 hours, and you cannot learn anything from the so-called fool, then you are a bigger fool. From looking at the sentence, I can see the word more. So the fact is not that somebody is not learning, even the fool. It's just that the wise man is learning more than the fool is learning, simply because the wise man allows questions to be asked, irrespective of where that question is, and picks one or two things from the question. But in quote, the fool is somebody that is not ready to listen to maybe what you have to say or your own perspective. And that's why he's kind of like closed to the opportunity of gaining more. But from the statement, it just means that we learn from everything in life.
So what about in the case?
We've not answered your question.
Okay, we've
We'll
not
come
answered
to
the
that.
question.
No, we've
Okay.
not even
Okay.
started. Yeah.
I think the quote is telling us that each an opportunity, each person, each situation is an opportunity to learn for an inquiring mind. That's why the wise man is able to learn more, despite whoever was asking the question or what questions that were asked. While a person who is considered a fool, even when opportunity presents itself to him or her, will not be able to discern the solutions that are being offered or proffered under the circumstances.
Thank you. So let's treat the question now. Are there silly questions or they are not? You say no, why?
You want to answer?
You say no to silly questions?
No, I said no, that there are no silly questions. And the reason why I think so is because something somebody will consider silly might be a very concrete information to somebody too. Yeah. And there are no two people that have gone through the same path in life. Through the same path in life. If I have to share where I've been to, what I've encountered in my life, you will learn something from it. And if you have to share, I will learn something from it. Which means, in any situation, there is something new for somebody in that situation. And there is something new to another person in my situation. And that person that have already known it will look at it as being foolish. Meanwhile, to that person that is new, it's like, oh, I didn't know this. So I don't think, yeah. Okay.
You can't call something silly that you are learning from. So it might be silly to the person that you ask the question because the person is not ready to receive information or to learn. But you that is asking it, it is not silly. So it is the person that is hearing you ask the question that is considering it foolish. But as long as you can learn from anything, that thing cannot be foolish. And we learn from everything, so nothing can be silly.
That is it, yeah. Anyway, you still have to ask me.
Not you directly, still asking question, yeah. What about in the case of common sense, when even the question you ask, people had expected you to use your common sense, to answer that question. Something you ask that common sense is applied. Can't we term it as silly?
Yeah. Well, I just think that you have to remember that everybody is at different levels. And for example, I saw this joke on the internet. It was like a cartoon, and this man was pointing at butterflies and said, "Are these pigeons?" And it was so funny, because how can you mix up butterflies and pigeons? But then I found out the story behind it. He was just learning to speak English, and he was just trying to test out his English. But it seems so silly when you don't know what they're going through. It seems common sense. Butterflies are not pigeons. But for him, he couldn't tell the difference. He didn't know the words. And it's the same for children and adults. Like sometimes they'll ask, "Why is the sky blue?" Well, it's common sense. The sky is always blue. Why would you ask that? But they're just curious. Even if you momentarily forget something and you ask it, like, "What's that word for what you eat with?" A fork? Yeah, because people's brains aren't perfect, and everybody's at different levels. Like, even if it's something they knew before and they forgot it, you're liable to forget things, and we just need to accept that you don't know exactly what's going on in their brain at the moment. So unless you were a mind reader that could penetrate all the details of their brain, then you could call their question silly if they are asking a question that they already know or making a joke or something. But otherwise, we can never know that, so we can't ever call anything silly.
I know the reason I asked the question. It's not everybody that I dispose
or have the ability or the knowledge she as a young girl has. Like growing up, most of all could reckon with it. The people that ask questions in class are the one most ridiculed. They might call them, they are hated in class for always asking. But people don't know where they are coming from. You understand? And most times when you ask questions, they say you ask silly questions. Probably some of them didn't have the tendency of continuing to ask questions. That's why the man, I don't know, you know his name, said you shouldn't be afraid. So a lot of people have gotten to that point of being afraid. When they ask questions, they are ridiculed, they are hated. You know, in school, they used to call some people ITK, I too know. You understand? Because they were always constantly asking questions. Some they expected you, the teacher just said it. Why? Just common sense would have allowed you without explanation. So we need to even let people know all this so that they could be courageous enough to keep asking questions. It doesn't matter who is against them or who is not against them or who calls their question silly questions. That's the reason I asked the question.
Thank you. And also, there is a pastor in Nigeria, Lagos, to be specific, but I can't remember if his last name is Emmanuel or second name. He has something to do with financial ministry, and he's famous for saying common sense is not common. What? No, you don't know. Nobody remembers him? Can't remember. He's very famous for saying common sense is not common. You know, to you it seems common, but it's not common, because if it's common, people will use it. Yeah. So it's not common. And I will say this, that some questions appear silly. Yeah, they appear silly. Because we don't know where those people are coming from, and sometimes some people can be like crafty, you know, can have evil intentions. Like, for example, Jesus was asked a series of questions just to get him. Yeah, but still, just like he says, a wise man can learn more even from a deceitful question, from a crafty question. So if we keep on developing the art of questioning, the art of asking and answering questions, then we'll be able to come out of the water dry, you know, and we have better results. So let's keep reading. Yeah, reading next.
Okay. Prepare your questions ahead of time. If you are in doubt about anything, ask, please. Overcome the fear of asking questions by knowing that it's not about you, but about what other person has to share.
So we start by asking questions, then we upgrade by asking the right questions, then we upgrade back to asking the proper questions. So it's a development, it's a growth, but these templates will improve our ability to ask now, not just questions, but better questions, right? Questions.
Don't become a question killer. Don't tell yourself or anyone else, especially a child, to stop asking questions. It's frustrating and it kills curiosity.
And this is a problem in many places, you know. Yeah. This is a problem in Africa, and not just Africa, even here. Yeah, in many other cultures. And I can understand some of the people that said that, because I remember when my children were younger, and they would be asking a lot of questions, and it looked disturbing. Yeah, it looked disturbing, and there were times I told one of my child, stop disturbing me or stop asking questions. But then I heard an older person saying, because Zoe, when she was young, she was asking a lot of questions. And then we're in a car, and actually it was our driver. So we're just saying, oh, Zoe asks a lot of questions. And the driver said, the most important thing is not to shut her up. The most important thing is to answer her questions. And if I don't know something, to tell her, I don't know, let's work on it together, or I will find out. And I see that as a very valuable advice. And since then, I always accommodated Zoe's questions. And I mean, of course, that helped to build a better rapport with Zoe, to be a better mother in that sense. And also for me to discover a lot, just by asking a question. It also helped me to develop patience, and, just like the dad, when the dad in the clip that we watched, you could see that he hasn't mastered the art of answering questions because he was showing his frustration at every why. But in the future, he should be smiling and accommodating those questions. So we should work on not becoming a question killer, because the greatest gift is the ability to ask questions, not to be afraid to ask questions. So and here I also want us to pay attention, because when we talk about other people shutting other people down, we don't talk about us shutting ourselves down. So he said, even yourself, don't tell yourself, stop asking questions. I have to keep asking myself questions. I have to keep asking people in my world questions, and I have to encourage them to ask themselves questions and to ask other people questions. That way, our world will become a better place, because we will get better answers to our question. Because a man with a question, a man with unanswered question, is a frustrated man. It's not a happy man. It's not a person you want to be close to. But because asking questions and getting answer to your questions gives you freedom. But not asking questions and not getting answers to your question keeps you in bondage. So it's very important. Please read.
Good questions will include at least some of these features. The question is worded clearly, directly, and succinctly. The question explores limits, boundaries, through extremes. For example, what is the most worst, fastest, like playing 20 questions. This helps refine the picture you're describing with answers to good questions. The question will lead to more questions and As an exercise, try to identify what your follow-up question will be, but be sure to adapt to the answer. When looking to expand a conversation, use open-ended questions, why or how, rather than close-ended questions like yes or no, or either or questions, or questions with potentially single-word answers. Pro tip: this is very effective in marketing, probing as a way to find what someone needs. It is trained in Apple Store orientation. Avoid shaping answers through the questions. Example: what relationship problems are you having right now?
So those are just hints, helps, tips to framing better questions. So now we are getting to the topic of my session, which is benefits of asking questions. So keep on reading.
Benefits of asking questions. It is not the answer that enlightens, but the question.
Mm-hmm. I think we can move on, because we've spoken about that already. So the first benefit.
You show that you have questions. It shows that you are not indifferent. It shows you're human and living being. You're human and living being. Sorry.
And the quote?
The act of proposing a question must be held of higher value than solving it.
Okay. So it will be more practical, more interactive. So let's pass the mic to Mrs. Disu. Come forward anywhere. So how do you understand that? And do you agree that's a benefit? Or?
So you show that you have questions. It shows that you are not indifferent. It shows you are human and living. Yeah, absolutely. I agree that it's a benefit. Even God says that we should all come together and reason together. And as humans, when we don't have questions, it shows that we're not living. I mean, to...
Only dead man has no more
That's
questions.
right, yes.
It's gone.
So when you ask questions, it shows that you're inquisitive about your environment and you want to develop.
It means you're a living being.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a benefit. Okay.
Yes.
Any contribution, or we can move on? So the mic goes to Tokwe now.
Okay.
Yeah. You read first and then tell us if you agree, and
I should tell us what?
can you read first?
Okay.
And then tell us if you agree that that's a benefit and what you get from that.
Okay, the benefits of questioning. You need answers. You want to learn and know more. The answers are important to move forward. Curiosity fueled a determination to keep questioning by that person. Okay. All right,
Is that a benefit?
yes. You need answers. You want to learn and know more. The answers are important to move forward. Of course, the more questions we have, the more answers we get. And if that is true, then we have enough information to help us advance in whatever situation we find ourselves. So I hope I've answered the question.
Okay. Give the mic to Pastor Christina. She will take the
Who's
third.
Pastor Christina?
She can't read, of course, so I will read it. Benefit of questioning. It feeds our curiosity. And again, the quote, it is not the answer that enlightens, but the question. Eugene Ionesco. So, do you agree with that?
Третье преимущество задавания вопросов – это кормит наше любопытство, это преувеличивает наше любопытство.
Вы согласны с этим и почему?
Кормит наше любопытство, ну да, это и...
Удовлетворяет, да.
Да. Сюда, да.
Да, говорите.
То, что кормит любопытство, ну, каждый человек, он рожден к тому, чтобы познавать этот мир. В нас эта сущность есть, познавать.
In us we all have this desire, this inborn desire to know our world.
Даже смотря это видео, как эта девочка, она задавала папе постоянно вопрос, и все дети, они есть такой определенный этап и период, когда они познают этот мир, и для того, чтобы узнавать.
And in the video we watched, we saw the child always perpetually asking the dad question, because that was our way of knowing more about the world where she found herself.
И каждый из нас, мы тоже были маленькими, и в нас тоже это было также заложено.
Мы
точно так же задавали вопросы.
We were once kids, and probably we also asked a lot of questions.
Но та среда, то общество, в котором мы росли, когда мы становились старше, нам не всегда давали ответы, и это притупляло в нас, скажем так, с каждым годом нашего развития. То есть из-за того, что наши родители, они не знали, что это любопытство, это нормально, и где-то у них не было времени, где-то не хотели отвечать. И таким способом в нас притупляли это желание познавать мир новый.
But growing up and not getting answers to our questions, our curiosity decreased, our desire to ask questions got intimidated, and with years we found out that we are asking lesser and lesser, close to no questions.
И, соответственно, когда мы выросли, пришли уже в это общество, и в этом обществе есть какие-то нормы, что некультурно задавать вопросы или неуместно задавать вопросы, и мы как бы по своей такой, ну как бы просто скажем так, под это общество подстроились.
And also in our society, we hear things like it's not courteous, it's not a good manner to ask questions. So we just fall, we adapt to our environment.
И сегодня вот этот ретрит и вот эта тема своего рода тебя как возвращает в изначальную, на изначальную исходную позицию вообще человека, личности, который должен задавать вопрос. И у нас вопрос мы должны задавать на протяжении всей своей жизни.
And this retreat, this HMT is like taking us back to our youth and taking us back to the right position of a personality where we should always be asking questions. And we should always be asking questions until we die.
Благодаря тому, что маленький ребенок задает вопросы, он развивается.
And it is thanks to the fact that kids ask questions, they grow, they develop. Thanks to that question asking.
Поэтому, когда мы задаем вопрос на протяжении всей своей жизни, мы будем развиваться. Мы задаем вопрос, нужно задавать вопрос в отношении семьи, в отношении призвания, в отношении финансов, в отношении взаимоотношений с другими людьми и так далее. И задавая этот вопрос, ты всегда будешь расти, ты всегда будешь развиваться, и это то, что будет наполнять твою жизнь и делать тебя целостной личностью.
Поддержать любопытство.
И поддержать, да, вот это вот любопытство. То есть оно, чем больше ты познаешь, тем больше в тебе открывается это любопытство.
And the more you know, the more your curiosity is developed. So we must ask questions in all areas.
И любопытство это, это интерес к жизни, это интерес.
And curiosity shows that you have interest to life. You are a living being. You are alive. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, give the mic to Ike. Ike, raise your hand so that she will know who is Ike.
Oh, do you want me to read?
Yes, read and explain.
Cool. The benefits of questioning. Questions are special. They take you from what you know, from what you don't know, to what you know. I can also take you from what you know to what you don't know.
How do you understand that?
I understand that in the sense where it's...
Do you agree that questions are special?
100%. I think what I understand from that is that questions, they're kind of like, I put it in a way, is like they're a rabbit hole, in a sense where the more questions you ask, the further down you go down, the more you're going to understand exactly where you're coming from. It's kind of like, I understand that it's questions, as you said, it goes on to your curiosity, it helps with your learning, it helps with you understanding the world, like the pastor said, it makes you, it essentially gives you a sense of purpose of being alive. It also means that, in regards to questioning, it means that you have an interest. There's something that you're willing to understand. You're not being selfish with it, but you're actually genuinely wanting to understand and learn to better yourself as a human being and be a better version of yourself. And the only way you can actually do that is whether by asking questions, by speaking to human beings, by gaining their knowledge from other individuals and like their past, their stories, their experiences, what they went through, how they went through it, what they overcame from it, how they overcame from it. So when it goes to, it can also take you from what you know to what you don't know. The questions and the knowledge that you gain from that, it answers you, okay, cool, now I've got a set of foundations. How can I move upon that? How can I better my understanding? So from what I've already understood, what questions from these can I also talk about so that I can also better myself and also get to the absolute truth, in a sense, about the real nature of life and who you are and your authentic self.
And absolute truth is a long journey.
Obviously. Yeah. Everyone goes through it.
It's a long journey. Thank you. Give the mic to Yelena. Yelena, поднимите руку. Yelena Donovskaya. Okay. So I will read and Lena will explain and tell us what she gets. Ближе сюда, чтобы в камеру попала. Learning things allows us to explore what we like. Задавание вопросов дает нам возможность больше углубляться в том, что нам нравится, в том, то, что мы любим. Вы согласны с этим заявлением?
Да, я согласна с этим заявлением, потому что иногда человек что-то чувствует, но не может определить, что конкретно его не устраивает или наоборот устраивает. И задавая себе вопросы, он постепенно определит тот корень, что же есть причиной его неудовлетворенности или наоборот его радости.
Sometimes people are not happy in life, they are not satisfied, and they don't know why. So when they ask questions, they are able to find out what is it that is worrying them and what is it that is not giving them satisfaction. Но вы должны объяснить, что когда мы задаем вопросы, мы больше углубляемся в том, что нам нравится.
В том, что нам нравится, да,
ну да, допустим, вам нравится читать книги, или нравится путешествовать, или нравится помогать людям. И когда вы задаете вопросы, это помогает вам расширить, углубляться в том, что вам уже нравится, улучшить то, что уже вам нравится. Вам сложно пока, да?
Ну да, пока.
Хорошо, дайте Свете трубку. И микрофон, и трубку. Спасибо.
Спасибо. Недавно я начала заниматься музыкой, играть на кассио. Я начала все больше задавать себе вопросы, почему 7 нот, почему математический склад, именно написание песен, нот, все это изучала, и я поняла, чем больше начала углубляться, тем я поняла, почему музыка это как математическая, не просто так песенка поется абы как, а она именно имеет конкретно счет, и чем больше в этом углубляешься, тем больше тебе это нравится, и тем больше ты хочешь, понимаешь композиторов Моцарта, тем больше тебе хочется создавать музыку, писать более так гладко. Тобто это чем больше то, что мне нравится, или вникаешь в историю, грубо говоря. Я зараз начала вторую книгу, это второй экзампл, вторую книгу «Как африканцы принесли цивилизацию в Европе». Это стало очень интересно, оно тебя расширяет, ты читаешь вглубь, и понимаешь, что, оказывается, не так была история, как она есть.
Да. Okay, I started learning how to play piano, the keyboard, not long ago. And the more I asked myself questions about what I'm doing, about music, I got to know more that music is not just an art, it's not just people singing anyhow, that it has law, it has rhythm, it has count. Then later I started learning more about different compositors, and I'm also trying to develop maybe dreaming of also writing my music. So just by asking questions about what I already like, it's widened the opportunity for me. And also I'm reading the book of Pastor Sunday that says How African Brought Civilization to Europe, and I found out that we were told the different stories about Africans. So, but when I read for myself, when I ask questions, because this is my part. Reading books is also part of, asking questions. You get answers when you read books. Спасибо.
Я начала вести социальный проект для женщин и девушек, и эта тема, вот моя тема, да, которая мне нравится, но я начала задавать вопросы, начала изучать эту тему, то есть я уже что-то знаю. Я взяла пастыря книги, да, его точку зрения, как потому что в его книге написано Божье, да, как Бог это видит, да, как Бог видит женщин, девушек, предназначение, в чем счастье девушек, женщин. Потом я пошла, я понимаю, что есть другая точка зрения. Начала спрашивать у девушек, да, их точку зрения, как они реагируют. Мне стало интересно, и я начала углубляться в эту тему, в психологию, да, женщины, девушки, и мне это стало интересно, потому что когда я провожу прямой эфир, я также, есть кто-то, да, согласен с этой информацией, кто-то протестует. Мне интересно, почему человек протестует, а если согласен, почему согласен. И благодаря тому, что я выслушиваю точку зрения разных людей, да, даже не согласных, я углубляюсь, я понимаю более глубоко эту тему, более глубоко проблему, да, девушек и женщин. И благодаря вопросам и выслушиванию разных точек зрения, разных людей в этой теме, я больше изучаю то, что мне нравится, и могу больше пользы принести, потому что больше понимания есть.
I recently started a program on internet live broadcast for women, and in preparing for this program, I took materials from Pastor Sunday, read some of his books, but then later I started asking ladies questions, and I realized that from Pastor's books I got one perspective. Asking ladies directly questions, I got another perspective. Then I also went into psychology to learn more about ladies, women's psychology. And also when I have the live broadcast, people write comments, and some people disagree with what I say, and I ask question why, and that helps me to see their perspective, to see their side. So the more we ask questions about what we already like, about what we do, the more it expatiates, and a bigger world do we have from it. Okay, now give the mic to Sister Peace.
Okay. The benefit of asking question shows who we are.
Okay.
So, like,
do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, explain, please.
Because from childhood, you see children asking questions in their area of interest. When you have interest in something, that's when you begin. You are curious, and you begin to ask questions, showing the path, the who you are, what interests, the area you are going in life. So when, like an adult, you see some things, you don't bother to ask because you don't have interest in that aspect. But when you ask questions, it tends to bring the real you, your destiny, the area where you're going in life. Because when you have interest in something, like I have a younger one, when he was still little, he will keep asking, why is people talking on the television? What is happening in the television? He will keep asking me. I don't know what to say. I will say, these things are technical. One day he went and, begin to screw the television to really know what is happening. So when I said, I want to see people inside, those people that are talking, I want to see them inside the television. And as he grows up, he became an electrical engineer. So we ask questions concerning our destiny, concerning where we are going in life. You see, when that thing is not your future, you don't bother. You don't even see. You don't even see. You only ask questions concerning who you really are. When you see people ask questions, you tend to know what is inside of them. That is how you know the person. You ask questions concerning what is inside of you, who you really are, who God created you to be. You don't ask questions when it's not you. When it's not you, you don't bother. Even when you hear people asking the question, you don't give attention.
You will say it's a silly
because
question.
it's not part of you. You only ask questions as in you, and you are curious because of what is inside of you that you want to let out, that you want to develop on it, that you want to create. That's when you see people being curious about something, because they want to bring out their real self.
And the question is coming from inside.
Yes.
Thank you. Who is it? Leo? Yeah, the next person. Leo. Livio.
By asking questions, we get help.
I think you have to stand
It
up,
seems
right?
obvious, because asking questions means that there maybe is a problem, and with the answer, we can get to the solution. So, yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't receive.
Yeah,
you don't get
receive.
help. Yeah.
So you get stuck at the same point.
Thank you. Give to what's your name? It's like Chinwe. So easy, but the only name I forgot. Take the next one, please.
Let's see.
You can't see it?
Sorry?
Let me read it for you.
Okay. I think I can see now.
Okay.
Asking questions may lead us to find out life's calling. Yeah, beautiful. It's a beautiful question because I agree with it. That I'm doing what I'm doing today is not by chance. It's not a mistake. You know, even though I was expected to go into different field in life while growing up as a child of a teacher. They've already patterned your life, what they want you to do, you know. But contrary to what they believe, like I disappointed so many of them when I pick up the calling as in the ministry. I started right from when I was a child. I know that my father said to me that I was always asking questions that he too doesn't even know where I get those questions from. Because I remember asking him questions because we were born Methodists when we were small. So most times they have these lay preachers. That my father happens to be a lay preacher. They can call them once in a while to preach. So he, on one of the occasions, told the church that my daughter that is just 3 to 4 years asked me many questions, and this one is mind-blowing. I didn't even have answer. I asked him because I was visualizing what people were not seeing in me. I said, who is the Father of God? That was the question I asked while I was a child, because I tried to ask. I've asked God myself because they've told me that's God, and I try to relate to God. I'll be thinking, and I get to a point when I start thinking of that question, I get confused. So I'm trying to ask God, how did you just came into this world? What was this world like? Where did you come from? You know, I kept asking that question. I didn't get the answer. Then I had to go and ask my dad. So he used it as a case study to teach in church that day. Everybody started laughing, and we normally used to be in a, what do you call it, the children's class. So they were coming to us. We wanted to see that your daughter that asked that question. Which one is that? He said, this is my little daughter, you know. Then I told them, I was at that age, I still told them that I don't think I want to be in Methodist, because Methodist church, that I'm not getting answers to what I've been asking. It's the same pattern. My father said, shut up, where are you getting that from? We are Methodist born. We are born Methodist, you understand? But I was kind of a rebellious child. All I was doing there was coming back to church. The television program we used to have, the early days was Rayhan Bonken and Ada Hosa. Then I would go and clue myself on the television and be listening to them. After that, I will come, you know, as a child, you're not even getting the English they're speaking. The man will want to cast demon from people. So I started practicing it where my younger ones were, you know, as I was growing up. Today, I'm into ministry, full-time ministry, doing the same thing. So I believe I agree with it.
Thank you. Your husband now. Please stand up for the camera. Can you read it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Benefits of questioning number 9. It is a problem identification tool.
Do you agree to that?
Yes, very much so. I agree with this particular benefit. Let me use an analogy of a child that is born being curious, saw a flame, a burning flame from the wood, and decided to go there because of the attraction of the fire, and decide to put the hand there, what will happen? The child will get burnt. By then, the kid have already identified that this is something that I don't need to touch, or something that I have to go near because it's a danger to me, because of the pain that the kid will pick from such an exercise. So most of life's issues, we need sets of skills to be able to tackle them. We need to discern. We need to be able to read. We need to be able to do a whole lot of things. And it is only by asking these questions that we will develop these sets of skills, or that we are equipped to be able to solve these problems. The people that develop the cell phones that we are using today, from the analog ones that we are used a couple of decades back, now we are using the digital format, and which are equally growing. So we are actually developing new sets of tools to tackle everyday life issues that as we grow, it becomes more and more complex, and we need such complex tools to be able to tackle the problems that we are experiencing in our generation.
Thank you. Concerning technology is more about progress, but problem identification tool is sometimes a statement is made, or an order is given, or a suggestion is given, but then when you ask question, you are able to see the problem in that statement, the problem in that order, the problem in that suggestion. Then, I mean, you can go to somebody and say, oh, there is a problem here, because if this is done, then this might occur. So sometimes something looks ready, something looks perfect, but then when we ask questions, we're able to see the mistakes, the imperfection. So by asking questions, we're able to identify underlying problems. Let's have Natasha. Natasha, возьмите микрофон. Shibudaeva. Okay. People that ask questions and participate are more successful in learning. Люди, которые задают вопросы и участвуют в дискуссии или в обучении, они более успешны в приобретении знаний, навыки. Вы согласны с этим?
Да, согласна. Особенно, когда дискуссия идет. Вот мы даже недавно, когда я участвовала в дебатах, да, у нас была дискуссия по поводу, на тему оставаться в Украине, да, и здесь состояться или уезжать в Европу, там искать по поисках счастья, да, то благодаря тому, что мы организовали эти дебаты, эту дискуссию, да, мы задавались вопросами, и мы изучали эту тему. То есть я бы ее не изучала, если бы мы не вошли в дискуссию. Но я задавала себе вопрос, а на самом ли деле так лучше или так лучше, оставаться или уезжать? И мы, задавая себе вопросы, изучали, углублялись, и я для себя многое что поняла, вот углубилась в эту тему, для себя много поняла.
I recently took part in a debate either to leave Ukraine or remain in Ukraine. That's a debate. And she said, because of that, when I was preparing for the debate, I asked myself a lot of questions, and I was able to know more about Ukraine. I was able to know more about immigration. I was able to know more about what is happening in my country, in my environment. So when we ask questions and participate, you know, debating, you have to participate. You don't just listen. You have to bring out your point, your argument. Then you are more successful in learning, in getting new knowledge. Спасибо.
Да. Еще такой момент, что выслушивая точку зрения каждого человека, мы еще и углубляемся в большее знание.
Listen to other people's view also increases our learning and our knowledge. It's now Emmanuel.
Give it to Emmanuel. Yeah.
The benefits of questioning. Questions stimulate you to start thinking, sometimes outside the box, challenging your thinking.
What do you Is that a benefit?
It is a benefit because what I'm trying to pick from this is question stimulates you to start thinking, sometimes outside the box, challenging your thinking. So it creates a sort of energy in you, like you that creates that curiosity of finding out certain issues. Most likely it might not really pertain to what you're concerned of, but might relate to something different. And what that's I'm going to now, sometimes outside the box. So outside the box it might be a question that necessarily doesn't really relate to your concerns or to your worries, but you've asked a question that might lead to something else that might be it might result to something of more beneficial. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm trying to make sense, but I don't know if I'm making sense. You know what I mean?
You have to question if you're making sense.
Yeah, no, I'm questioning myself now. Like, am I actually making sense?
So let's give that to Rose, and we'll come back to you. Yeah, you start from the beginning, please.
Benefits of questioning. Number 11. Questions stimulate you to start thinking, sometimes outside the box, challenging your thinking. The way I understand it, first of all, I agree it's a benefit. And the way I understand it is, if you have a problem and you are sitting in your room thinking about that problem, the first thing that comes to your mind is, for example, you have headache. The first thing that comes to your mind is, what can I take to cure this headache? So you don't just end in your room. So you start thinking outside. Should I go to the doctor? How serious it is? That's when you start going out of your environment to start elaborating the solutions to that problem. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think we need more help. Who would like to help? Yeah, Vitalis, please.
Yeah, I think I will use a story that probably most of us have read over the internet about the Japanese inventor of Sony, or the owner of Sony, who started trying to develop a cooker for rice, which is a staple in Japan. When he started, his focus was to give the Japanese the best way to cook rice, and scientifically or more modern way to cook rice. But along the way, he was only able to sell few of his product. But by asking questions, he developed other things which are outside of what he started initially. He developed the electric iron, the television, and most of the other things that we got from Sony that is still in operation today. So it is a benefit.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll go back to...
Yeah, something came to my mind now, like it could be a cure to shallowness. Like shallow, because shallow-minded people don't think in it to start with. So the way I say it, if it stimulates your thinking in the sense of you not being or not being superficial, or enhances you to pass that stage of superficiality. Is that correct English, guys?
Being superficial.
Being superficial, being not using the nouns superficiality. You know? Being superficial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Rosa, your turn.
I know.
You.
Yeah, okay, it's the next one.
Mhm.
Okay. I thought it was still number 11. The benefit of questioning. It is a unique privilege of mankind, an intelligent creation. Being a unique privilege, the way I look at it is, you have to ask questions to widen your knowledge. And it's only by questioning which becomes now the unique way for you to get more knowledge or more wisdom, which will lead you to the creation of intelligent creation of anything that you're thinking, like a project, or you want to maybe write an exam, carry out a project. Then you have to start by questioning yourself, what type of project am I going to do? What do I need? That's where it takes you to intelligent creation about whatever you want to do. That's the way I see it.
Okay. I think we need to help you. Who would like to help?
Let me add.
Yeah, you read the benefit first, then you explain.
Okay, the benefits of questioning. Number 12 point. It is a unique privilege of mankind, an intelligent creation. I would say that man was made in the image of God, and as an image of God, God has enabled us, made us intelligent. We were created as intelligent people, and that's why we have the brain. And the slide we checked the other time talks about questioning, having to relate to the brain development, asking questions, having to relate to the brain development. So for on this, I would say that it's a privilege of man to question. If we don't, we are already intelligent, but we can only express that intelligence to the degree that we exercise our brain through questioning.
I think you want to. Okay.
No, just like follow on from what she said. For me, I believe every living thing or every animal that God created are all intelligent in their own right. But of every one of them that God created, it is only man that has the ability to question.
And that's the uniqueness.
That's the uniqueness. So the only man. The fish is intelligent in its own right. The dolphin is very intelligent. The dog is intelligent in their own right. But they can't question. It is only man that can question.
And a feature of intelligence is the ability to ask questions. Yeah. So you are not intelligent until you are able to ask questions, until you're able to question, until you're able to eliminate wrong hypotheses, and bring in better hypotheses. Okay. Want to add? Okay.
Я хотела сказать о том, что задавание вопросов помогает человеку выйти на более высокий уровень. Потому что если человек находится на уровне выживания, он не задает вопросов, он закрывает какие-то свои самые необходимые потребности, он живет по инстинктам. И только задавая вопросы, чем глубже эти вопросы, тем более высокий уровень в обществе человек занимает.
Okay. When we ask questions, we're able to move to a better level of life, to live the survival level. When we live in the survival level, we try to shut up the questions. because we are just surviving. We try to ignore some questions. But when we ask deep questions, that will help us to leave the survival level and get to a higher level. Which encourage you. Now is let's give Rosa the mic. Rosa, you try another one.
Sorry. The benefit of questioning, it helps others involved to think. It helps others involved to think. I think that here, when we say it helps others involved to think, it's related to communication with others, the person you are asking the question.
Or the group.
Yeah, or the group, or who, yeah, the people concerned. Because when you ask somebody something, the person don't just say anything. The person, it also stimulates that person to think before telling you the answer. So it helps both sides, not just you asking the question, but also the listener to be able to think of how to answer the question, or how I can help you with the question. Yeah.
Good job. Thank you. Good job. Who's next? I think Mayowa is at the back, so let's give her now. There is something.
Questions yield answers, and I think I know that was definitely demonstrated in the why question with the young girl, and that yield a lot of answers. So yield is bring up a lot of answers, and answers, even answers that was not thought of, and answers that were thought of, or answers that will create more challenges to solve more problems. So the yield could be in many different directions, but it definitely yield more answers, and I agree with that totally.
Thank you. Yeah. Now it's Chioma.
The benefits of questioning, point 15, makes you more knowledgeable, forces you to think about the topic. So,
do you agree with us?
Yes, I do. When we ask questions, it forces us to think. It stretches us. It puts pressure, in our head, in our brain to think. And the more we think, the more we know. The more we research, the more we ask questions, the more we get more answers, and the more knowledgeable we become.
Good. Yeah, let's give Chris. This might be too much for Sweta.
Okay. The benefit of questioning, 16, says strengthen your intellectual humility. You don't know everything. Should I read the
quote? Yes.
Yeah. It can be intimidating to ask questions. Sometimes you have to be humble and yet brave to ask questions. Karen Johnson. I do agree that it strengthens your intellectual humility, because for me, I've always said that the day you come to a place where you think you know, that is when you know you don't know. Because I'll just give this brief example. I was discussing with somebody in the office, and we were talking about the issue of people who say there is no God, the debate of there is no God. Now said, okay, just ask yourself this question. If all the totality of knowledge in this world was a blank sheet of paper, that's everything man needs to know. Now you ask yourself a question. How many percentage of the totality of knowledge do you have? If it is maybe just 5 or 10%, then shade just like 5% of the blank sheet of paper. Then you ask yourself, it means that the rest 95 or the rest 90% you do not know. So is it possible that the God you are trying to disprove is existing in the remaining 95% of the knowledge that you don't have yet? while you are busy with the 5% of the knowledge you have, and you are arguing that there is no God. So, yes, because when you keep asking questions, you begin to find out more, you begin to get more information, and you begin to realize that there are things that you actually never knew. And I think that's a challenge for us as Christians, because that's the challenge a lot of people have about Christianity, because we tend to close the door on people asking questions. When they ask some question, for example, somebody say, can you prove if there is God? We just say, oh, the Bible says the fool says inside there is no God, and you just shut the person out. But Paul said something. Paul said that we should be ready to give an answer to those who question the reason why we believe what we believe. Yes. So we should have that open-mindedness for people to actually ask us questions, because by answering their question, we will begin to find out ourselves that there are things that we claim we believe, but we don't really have an idea. And I don't know if I should just give, I've said this on air when I called in one of the programs, like our sister said, that she was questioning where did God...
Sister Chinwe.
Sister Chinwe, sorry. That she was questioning where does God come from and all that. I've been there. I remember when I finished from secondary school, I was also a believer, but I did sciences, and in my own little understanding, I was saying that, okay, God, because I believe that God exists in the universe somewhere. Heaven is a place, earth is a place, and all that. So, and I know that I was taught in school that matter is anything that has weight and occupies space. So I was asking the question all by myself for hours that, okay, if matter is something that has weight and occupies space, and God, we know, is a person, even though he's a spirit. And I knew then when people talk about that the glory of God means the weight of God and all that. So I asked, okay, God, if you have weight, it means you occupy space. So, and if you are the one who created space, what space were you occupying before you created it? So it was that question that was just going on in my mind, and I was so determined to get an answer that day. I was the only one at home, and I asked and asked and asked for about 2 hours, 45 minutes. My head was almost aching. So I just said something in the inside of me. I said, if I don't get any answer, I'll just conclude that there is no God. I said, because if there's a God, then he should be able to talk. He should be able to speak. So after long hours and there was no answer, I just got up. I wanted to go. But as I just turned around to go, for the first time in my life, I heard the voice of God. And he spoke to me and he gave me an answer. So that's why I said sometimes if we don't ask questions, we will never know. And for me, I will never forget that day. That for me solidified the fact that God exists. So no matter how many atheists comes and try to prove that there is no God, I know there is a God, because I've asked the question and I've gotten the answer. So, yeah.
Very good. Svet, you want to add to that?
What's the answer? Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. And so basically what I heard was, I'll just say verbatim because that's how I know how to say it. He just said, my son, I do not live in space. Space lives in me. Wow. He said, everything you see today came out of me. So including the universe, because I used to think that God is in the universe, but it dawned on me that if he was the one who created the universe, then he must be outside of the universe. So that's, and to confirm it, I think about 2 years later, I heard somebody, a preacher, said exactly the same thing, that he was asking the question and that was the answer he got. So that for me just like summed it up. Yeah.
Okay. Sveta, you want to read?
No, это час переводителя. Okay.
Okay.
Когда на русском отвечать?
Okay. Number 17, the benefit. It's
part of learning process. We learn things which it is key in discovery. Feynman.
Okay. Do you understand that?
Да.
Okay.
Когда именно сам процесс это делает мы именно
Это
учимся.
часть процесса обучения.
Да.
Да.
Это, и когда мы обучаемся, мы что-то открываем новое.
Открываем.
Именно это ответственно больше к науке. Когда в последнее время, последние 20 лет, много ученых много делают многих открытий и в технике, и в здоровье. И это есть процесс обучения каждого человека. И например, в открытии в лечении рака постоянно идут исследования, новые изучения, новые открытия, и человечество получает больше выгоду для человечества. Так же самое, например, в телефонах, когда, например, 18 лет были такие простые, а когда мы обучались, как лучше улучшить, все, задавали себе вопросы, как чтобы и фотографировать, и писать, и диктофон, что раньше было диктофон отдельно, фотоаппарат отдельно, а все человечество думало, как его улучшить, чтобы все было компактнее в одном. И это привело к открытию, например, к технике, которую мы имеем с собой.
Yeah, so this is, she agrees to this, and it's more about progress. You know, when we learn things, it's like a kick, keep the ball rolling. You know, you start a progress in discovering, yeah. And when you discover, you bring progress. And she was talking just about technology. We used to use more analogy kind of phone, and now we have digital. She was saying before, dictaphone and phone were two separate things before. Now they are one thing. Photo, camera, and phone also were two separate things. But by asking questions about how can we join these things together, we arrive at what we have today. Thank you. Now, Precious.
Benefits of asking questions, number 18. It helps you to be observant. Yes, I agree with this. The more you ask questions, the more you observe, well, it makes your observant level to be high. Like when you're in an environment, you begin to see things, and those things you see, it makes you ask, questions, and it just improves your observant skills, actually.
Because it's like you can't ask questions if you're not observant.
If you're not observant, yes.
You know, it's like it just
You have
doesn't
to
work
be
together.
observant, yeah, 'cause,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. If otherwise, the other questions you can ask will just show that you weren't observant. Yeah. It shows who you are or where you are. Okay, now to Sister, are you Tony or Toyin? You are both, right? Okay, all right.
The benefits of questioning, point 19, it makes you to be more alert. My understanding to this, if you ask questions, it opens your understanding to many things. It helps you to be aware. It creates awareness, and it enlightens you, and it makes you to be more alert.
So you agree to it?
Yeah, I do agree to it, absolutely. It means you are alive, you are living, because you are living, you are reasoning, you are using your mind, and alert could mean many things. It's a broad sentence. So
it is in close link to being observant, because to be
Observant, yeah.
observant, you have to be alert.
Alert,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Give it back to Precious, please.
It helps you to make better, more thought out decisions.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Why do you agree? How do you understand it?
When you ask questions, it
When you ask questions,
yeah,
mhm.
you get more knowledge, and out of that knowledge, whatever situation is or problem that you're tackling in life, or your tackler you're facing, you can be able to make better decisions. You know, probably you're trying to find an example because I have it in my head, but I don't know if I'm actually trying to bring it out.
And you are in the right line. Just be more confident.
Okay.
When you ask questions, you get answers. You get more knowledge, and with those knowledge, you are able to
make good decisions.
Yeah, more thought out.
Yeah, thought out decisions.
More funded, more
Yeah.
fundamental
Yeah.
based decisions. Yeah, you are good. Chris, please.
Is it he or it's? Oh, sorry. The benefits of questioning 21. To ask better questions.
It helps to ask better
Oh,
questions.
it helps to ask better questions. I think that's right because, like we said before, asking questions will lead to more questions, and if you follow it down that loop, you discover that because I believe that to answer a question requires a certain level of thought process. And to ask a question that someone has answered, that to ask a follow-up question will also require a certain level of thought process. So basically, if you ask a question, the question is answered, and you want to ask the next question, then you tend to want to put more thoughts into the question you are asking, and that will lead to you asking better questions to get better answers.
Just like the more you answer a question, the better you become at it. So the more you ask a question, also the more you, Good. Let's have Sveta.
Improves the benefits of questions 22 improves the way you answer question. Improves.
Улучшить.
Как улучшить ответ?
Улучшить, как вы отвечаете на вопрос. Когда вы задаете вопросы.
Это улучшает меня.
Да, улучшает то, как вы отвечаете на вопросы.
Да. Когда задают вопросы человеку, то это его улучшает именно самого человека и улучшает качество, как он отвечает на вопросы. Например,
А сейчас речь идет о том, кто задает вопросы. Что искусство задавания вопросов, если человек будет задавать вопросы,
это его улучшает его внутри.
Улучшит даже как он сам
задает вопросы.
Как он сам отвечает на вопросы.
Хорошо. Мы когда видим, когда задают нам вопросы, мы тогда это меня улучшает, как потом отвечать на эти вопросы. Так понимаю, да?
Слабо. Let's give it to Chioma. Я вернусь к вам. So the benefit of questioning. So improve the way you answer questions.
Yes, how I see this is you're asking a question to get an answer, and if you get to learn and develop yourself in the art of asking questions, the way you also answer those questions is getting better too.
Why? What's the connection in it? Well, Rosa wants to help.
I don't want to answer
It's a little bit complicated for me because we are on benefit of questioning. And here, point 22 says, it improves the way you answer questions.
Yeah, you are answering the question, one of the benefits you get by learning the skill of questioning is that you yourself
we become better in answering questions.
Asking of answering.
Answering.
Yeah, but that's the complication in it.
No
because-
problem. Well, Sister Chinwe will help. Or leave you.
Well, when you have asked a lot of questions and maybe to different people, you get different ways, different kind of
Qualities. Different
quality
qualities
answers,
of
and in that way you can improve the way you will answer a question, what structure and what way, determined by who's asking the question and what level the person is at.
That's
So, yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah, it's just the way you are doing. You asking us questions, and sometimes you are not satisfied by the answer we give. You keep asking, so because you want to get better understanding from us, and that increase our confidence. Yeah, the next time you ask, the first time you asked me question, I didn't answer well. So I watched the way everybody answering and your reaction. So the second time, I was a little bit better. Is that okay? Yeah, and I'm improving. Yes.
Good job. More people want to contribute. Mayowa, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I think in addition to what Livia said, I don't know if it's, for me personal, I think we improve our how we answer questions in two ways. By learning how other people have answered our question. But at the same time, I've noticed for myself, I don't know if anybody else, that when I ask a question, my mind instantly goes to work and begins to think the best way to answer that question. So in that way, I'm improving my thinking faculty on how questions are answered. But I think one of the best ways is when you have heard over and over again when people
answer questions. So you also learn how to answer questions.
Yeah.
I want to say this also in maybe in a different way. Is first of all, on the one hand, when other people ask you questions, by asking questions, you know the right answers to give them. So you improve because you know the answers. So you improve in answering questions because you have answers, because you've asked so many people. And then on the other hand as well is that you learn how to answer questions and how not to answer questions from the way other people respond to you. You learn that, okay, this person answered my question, but the way they asked that question, I didn't like it. So when you're answering somebody else's question in the future, you have already taken on the cue from the way somebody else answered your question, not to respond to other people in that way. Yeah. So you learn also what to do and what not to do when you're answering questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We got there. Who is next? Again, Sveta. Let's try Sveta again.
The benefits of questions 23. It helps you to accommodate other people's question. Это помогает нам аккумулировать
приветствовать. Это поощряет нас приветствовать, принимать вопросы других людей. Не аккумулировать, а просто приветствовать, поощрять то, что другие задают вопросы.
Ну, когда мы задаем вопросы и видим, когда другие задают вопросы, мы понимаем, что они думающие, что они здесь и сейчас, и беседа начинает быть интересной, и мы узнаем больше, и это помогает, что мы от других уже получаем вопросы и открываемся больше, расширяемся, чтобы и ответить, и получить, задать вопросы и получить ответы.
Есть, но слабо еще, мы вернемся. Дайте Чиома.
It helps you to accommodate other people's questions because you're a question asking, you're developing yourself in asking questions. You don't feel, embarrassed or intimidated because you yourself, you're asking questions. So when other people, it will help you to attend to other people's questions.
Not to embarrass them.
Yes.
Not to embarrass them.
Yes, not to embarrass them. Or to understand their position too, because you yourself, you are asking questions.
You are there also,
yes.
you understand that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one part to it. Who can see the second part to it?
think the second part is we take us back to the silly question. Is there any silly questions? Yeah. So this helps us to accommodate other people's view. It tells us that there are no silly questions. It might be silly to you. To the person that is asking, it's not silly. And if you use your mind correctly, you will get something out of what you think is silly.
Absolutely.
So you are.
Good job. And now again, you want to add something? Okay.
Yeah. It's also like how we started the definition of questioning when we started earlier. How a person that asks questions is an achiever, a person that wants to discover, explorer. So when you see people ask questions, because you have been asking questions for reasons, for such reasons, trying to know things, trying to discover things, trying to bet a new idea. When you see people ask those questions, you also understand that they have reasons for asking questions.
We even encourage them.
You encourage them, yeah, because you are coming from the same place.
Thank you. Sveta, let's try Sveta. No more contribution? Okay, I just didn't see your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, this one to help you accommodate others people's question. It also give you the opportunity for you to see what other people are thinking, or how other people understand what you've just said or what you want to say. So you're always curious or interested to get another angle of what you've just said or what information you've given out. I think this is born out of, this is what focus group use, you know, where they encourage people to ask questions, they put them in a room and encourage them to ask questions. They want to accommodate people so that they can maybe develop the product or the services or know something that they are not thinking about that other people or user groups might be thinking about. So I think it's a benefit. Yeah.
So Sveta.
The benefits of question 24. It helps you to encourage others to ask questions. Это помогает тебе encourage, поощрять других, задавать вопросы.
Когда ты сам задаешь вопросы, когда
да,
ты сам
когда мы
учишься.
в беседе, в дискуссии задаем вопросы, это поощряет.
Когда ты сам учишься искусством, да,
Задавать
задавания вопросов, тогда ты будешь поощрять других,
давать пример, как бы,
вопросы.
чтобы и они тоже задавали вопросы. Окей, understand.
I understand. Okay, any contribution? Okay.
Go on, Rosa. Go on.
It helps you to encourage others to ask questions. I think because when you yourself, you ask questions, you gain more knowledge, you apply it in your life, you see the difference it makes in your life, you want to share it with other people. You want to better other people's life by encouraging them to ask questions so that they can also develop their personal life, their knowledge, and be a better person like you.
Good job.
Yeah.
To Chinwe.
Okay, I can't say it, but I got the question. Yeah, when in a situation where people are tense, people are intimidated, people are scared, people are shy to ask questions, and you are the first to open up the floor for them, you ask questions, it motivates others to be bold enough also to ask questions. Then at most times, your question might be something that has been in their mind, but they didn't know how to come up to ask the question. You see, in the situation where you say it, you see them all coming out to contribute and start asking more questions inside it, the same question.
Thank you so much. So I think now it's Chiyoma's turn, right? We go through with Sveta, I think, or I can't remember. It's like
the benefits of questioning, point 25. It helps you to overcome the fear of asking questions. Yeah, this is true. I agree with this because the first quote that we read,
the greatest gift.
Yeah, said the greatest gift is
not to be afraid.
Not to be afraid. So when we ask questions, we are breaking free. The man who asks questions from Pastor Christina says is a free man.
He's a free man.
Yeah, you are free to express yourself. You're free, so you overcome that fear.
Thank you. Rosa?
It helps you to become a better communicator. I think when you ask questions, it gives you the opportunity to go into a communication with somebody, or it gives you the opportunity to acquire more knowledge and know more about each other, and also enlighten you about where you are driving to or what you want to get from that person in relation to your question or your doubt.
Yeah, it's in line, but not completely. Emmanuel?
The same benefits of questioning. I'm getting, my brain is getting.
Give it to him.
Yeah.
Leave you.
Yeah.
It helps you to become a better communicator. You will talk more. So, let me think about it.
A better communicator doesn't mean you talk more. Yeah, I think we have to give this to person who understand English better. Yeah.
I think a better communicator is someone that puts his points across.
Yeah, somebody that is able to pass his point across, not just talking.
So for everybody to understand what the person is trying to say, like the way you are communicating to us is very clear, so we all understand.
Okay, then why is it a benefit of questioning? How can we combine the two?
Yeah, it is a benefit of questioning, because if you are questioning something and the person you are asking doesn't understand what you are saying, he won't be able to give you a better answer.
Okay, that's one of it. I can see a lot of hands up.
Yeah, because communication is a two-way thing.
Mhm.
You talk and you listen. Now, whenever you ask question, you are always listening for the answer to your question. So that way it improves your listening skill, and also it improves your listening skill, and also help you to understand people better when you communicate, when you talk to them. So more on the listening side than on the talking side.
Good. The mic, give it, pass it to the back.
Okay. It helps you to become a better communicator because, in link to questioning, when you want to understand something by communicating, you want to pass something across. The art of questioning, or the ability to question, means that you have to find different ways of communicating that to the different audiences that you have. So you have to learn. When you realize that you're communicating something to somebody and they're not understanding, and you want an answer, you have a question and you want an answer, then you would have to find a way, research new ways, or develop yourself in new ways to communicate. So it might be, writing, or it might be actually speaking publicly to communicate that. It might be, maybe drawing something. So you would have to learn the different cues or the different ways of communicating, even listening as well as a method. But it helps you to become a better communicator because there are different audiences and different ways of understanding information. Then as somebody that wants to ask questions, then you'd also have to develop yourself in the methods of communicating based on your audience.
Good.
Yeah. Do you want me to comment on this?
No, if you don't want, I know that Sister Peace raised her hand.
Right,
and
okay, yes.
yeah.
Okay. It helps you to become a better communicator. This draw my attention because I came to Ukraine and I've learned a lot from DSA. When I was in Nigeria, there was no even in churches, you are not allowed to ask questions. And I think this brings down a lot of our thinking in our African systems, because the platform of asking questions is not being provided. You are in a church, maybe after the pastor preach, there is no platform
Question and answer.
yeah, for you to contribute. There is no platform for you to ask question, you know, so you just absorb whatever you hear. There is no encouragement for you to go back to study, you know, back. Even in the university, it applies too. So you see that, you know, people that comes from that part of the world relating to people that are here, there is a difference, because when you ask question, you communicate more. It brings out the intelligence in you. When I came to Ukraine, you know, when DSA will, you know, do his broadcast, he gives you the platform to bring out your idea. He wants to hear it, no matter how, you know, it's not making sense. You know, he wants to hear it, and he encourages you. By that, it begins to bring out the better person in me. It makes me begin to, you know, communicate more. Before now, I don't talk in the public. I can handle the microphone and begin to address people. I'm scared, you know, even talking in the presence of a pastor. You want to ask a pastor a question, you don't do that. There's no platform for that.
But how does it make you to become a better communicator?
Yeah, it makes me to communicate more better when I ask question. When a platform is given to me to ask question, I begin to think. I begin to communicate well. I begin to arrange myself, how to present myself. It makes me more presentable. It makes me more organized. It makes me think more.
Good. Good. And also, as you can put it. Okay. Who is next? I think it's Emmanuel.
I actually wanted to ask a question.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah. Also, as a communicator, when you have a topic to treat, and because you are learning the art of asking question, you will also ask yourself a question. If I was to go to the class as a listener and not as a teacher, will I be satisfied with the quality that I'm giving the people? Yeah. Then also, like somebody said, it will set you thinking about the different approaches you can use. And if, for example, this is not your first time of treating the same question, the same topic, then you also ask yourself a question, okay, how can I improve on what I've done before? Yeah. So it's making you a better communicator. We've seen that it has a wide range, but if you learn or you are learning, I believe we have to keep on learning it, then we'll be able to pass across what we want to pass across well, and we'll become more responsible for what we say, you know, and for the things we pass out. You have a question?
Yeah, based on Patience explanation.
Patience? Okay. Who is Patience?
Peace.
Okay.
She said, she mentioned university, that even going to university doesn't make you a better communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Should we agree with that? Like,
I mean, it depends. Do you agree with that?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure it out in my head. Okay. Like, do I really want to agree with that?
And if you don't want to agree, what would be
I have to think.
What would be your argument? Have you been to university? Do you have a degree?
I have not been to university.
Okay.
And that's the more reason why I'm not in the better situation. Maybe those that have been to university can help.
And I think she's talking from the African concept,
Yes,
because there are different way of
I also did
education.
school from
Yeah,
that, so I can
yeah.
also answer from that aspect.
All right.
Your question that she said, going to university doesn't make you a better communicator.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I think she's answered it. She's talking from the perspective of Africa.
No, but I can still say something
Yeah,
to add
please
to
do.
that. Some people, whether you went to university or you didn't go to university, some people are naturally orators in talking.
Yeah.
Some people are born that way. When you see them talk, doesn't mean that most of them are also making sense, because they are born orators. So that somebody knows how to talk and can stage, do a whole lot of things when it comes to speech, doesn't mean that the person makes sense. I think that should be what she's trying to say in a different form. Maybe she used university to say it. People are born orators, but that they talk a lot doesn't mean that they are communicating well.
Yeah, you make sense. You make sense. You want to add? Yeah. We have to be rounding up. Mayowa wants to say something.
I'll make it quick. I just want to say, in answer to that, the question that going to university doesn't make you a better communicator. It depends on the university, and it depends on the teachers and the lecturers, the quality of their delivery. So, we can't have a blank going or not going would not make you a better communicator. But also, I just want us to remember what Dr. Sunday said yesterday. I think somebody asked about formal education and self-development. It is imperative that we know that the most important education is the education that you self-educate yourself. So here you are educating yourself here right now. If there's any parts of knowledge or skills that you're lacking or lagging behind, you will look for it and improve yourself in that area and develop yourself. I just thought I just mentioned that.
Yeah, but also that doesn't lessen the importance of formal education, because there are some things you get in institutions, the environment, the facilities they have, that you also need to bring into your life. Because I know some people are of the opinion that since self-education is the best education, so maybe I don't need to go to university. People consider going to institutions to study as waste of time. But I think we need both. Of course, you have to choose your school. You have to choose a good school. But what you get also from formal education, you may not be able to get it elsewhere. So it goes together. Unfortunately, our time is up, and I think I've enjoyed this class with you. You're wonderful people, very active, alert, observant. So it's been my honor and pleasure. It's been my honor and pleasure to be part, but I will allow you to ask the question. Where is the mic? Let him have the mic.
Being a better communicator, are we specifying on one's communication skills, or we're just specifying on communication as in just how you
like not to be shy to talk?
Or like not to be shy to talk?
No,
or are we connecting it with...
We're talking about the ability to pass something across. So that would be skill, technique, to be able to pass something across. Yeah.
So we would say that has to do with communication skills then?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, nice having you. And I think I will see you again. I have another session with you. So all the best.
Okay. So let's put our hands together for Pastor Bosse. Woo! Okay, so this brings us to the end of the first section of Day 3 History Makers Training, June 2018. We are going on break here, but we will be back at 2:30 Ukraine time. So don't go too far and save the time, and see you soon. Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.